There we go. I'd rather do that now than halfway through. Thank you. Right, we're going across now to the States to the host of Gestalt Poetry. And please welcome Amy Hoskins.
Hey there. How is everybody? Good to see everybody. I've got a few things here, a few poems. Hopefully it won't be too long. I did a test online and it was 3 minutes, so hopefully that's okay. And I'm going to post something about Gestalt in there before I forget. Okay, this first one I wrote last week. Some of it's true. It's called Original Sin. We go to the bar for a drink. He plays guitar well, sings, accompanies your pop-up poetry performance. Later with drinks until they cut him off. He asks, "Are you a sinner?" "I'm a Buddhist," I say. "I don't think that way. There is darkness and light." "Don't you believe in original sin?" he asks. "No," we say. "Have you ever lusted? Do you ever lie?" We were being put on the spot. We don't believe we're evil after all. We leave the bar just in time before his final judgment. 2, by now no one is innocent of such histories. No adult, race, country, tribe, except children born without blame. We all hold responsibility. It isn't sin we carry in our hearts, but history in our very DNA. We all can be classified as sinners or people trying to overcome. There's no judging roaming eyeball following our every move. If we bear witness to the whole of time, not judgment of sin, but compassion, do we drop sin like an old robe to the floor? We are responsible to make the world better instead. 3, the Buddha statue is made with loving hands. Their light and intent follow me from room to room. Offerings, robin's eggshell, fresh roses, flowers, a rainbow string of glass beads. Candle and flame light my vision for the day. The moon escapes me. Ancient magic yo-yo pulls us all back and forth. Wordcraft, no spells, but magical thinking. Imagine the awe-inspiring natural world healing, abundant and well. Don't feed the illness. Make your wishes bright and light-filled. She says, walk lightly on the earth. Feel the pulses of all life connected to you. Feel your own pulse here. We are one with all things natural, not overlords, but stewards. We all own this concept of original sin. Let judgment go. Let kindness rule your heart and soul. We change the world by breathing. Open wide, let all the medicine sink in. Thank you. Thank you. I have a second
Magnificent.
one. Oh gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. This is one that's published in Sinew, which is 10 years of poetry in the brew, also here in Nashville. And the theme was body. The poem is called The Question of the Egg. He took the egg, rubbed it between his hands until the shell was gone. Then I was exposed. Maybe I grew around what was left until the shape of the egg was lost in folds of my heart tissue. Or maybe it drifted in my bloodstream like a lost craft, a broken plane. Did it evaporate in the confusion of the heat of that summer, disintegrate and become part of the invisible everything where dead leaves and grandparents go? Unlike you, who can put the tapes on erase, I am haunted by the ghost of a small unborn bird, wildly shadowing me, pecking, chirping, telling me maybe it could have flown.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's an older one. And this is a newer one that just got published in the October Middle Tennessee State University Write Shift magazine October issue. It's called Bargain with Wildness, And I wrote it when we had a deep snowstorm for a week here. A brotherhood of winter birds acclimate above the snow. At the feeder, we can barely keep full. Gentle mother's white blanket has touched us all with a new silence. Comfort inside, terror and chills without. The wild survive somehow. A new gunshot across the street at Shoot Park, just one shot this time. I run to the window, see nothing except snow, two men leaving each other, one still, one running, no bodies, no blood to show. I return to innocence, appearances for now. Inside out, I'm irritable after days being snowbound, 4 inches more on the way tonight. The silence is thick, light is blinding from the sun. 2 nights ago at dusk, and light, fluffy snow falling, giggles and laughter from the kids enjoying their first snow in the deep dark. Videos, selfies, multiple gunshots a block away. The laughter stops, resumes with a peculiar humor at the absurdity of life and death on a hair trigger, and then they are gone. More snow on the way. The thick blue comforter spares us all night. Space heater, door closed to steward the heat. The rest of the house left to the struggling HVAC, already in auxiliary mode. We have power, heat, food, friends in our bubble, fireplace with fire, and breakfast casserole to share. We disregard the bullet holes only to find joy and closeness, proximity to the frailty. Life is precious, absurd, glorious, and fleeting, depending where you are, who you are. For now, the snow gives the semblance of equal grace. It melts with rain next week. A brotherhood of birds at the feeder. We keep our bargain with wildness. Thank you.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Amy. Beautiful as always. Thank you. Thanks once again for finding time and making time to join us here in Blot. Always welcome. Thank you. All right. We're close at home now. Well, close at my home, not your home. Please welcome Chris Begg back, please. Chris.
Hi, everyone. Thanks very much, Finn. Nice to see you again, everyone. Okay, 3 new poems tonight. 2 of them fairly short. And okay, here we go. First one's called Silence. The older I get, the more I appreciate silence. When younger, and younger, I wanted people. I wanted highlights, peaks of sound. I wanted waterfalls of crashing laughter. I craved the cacophony of clamoring conversation, with myself solely centered as the prince of the party. Music played loudly loud, used to fill any grating gaps in the sound of... I loved the song, didn't relate though. Now, silence is holy, and holy to be cherished. On stage, I relish the moments of pause, the Pinteresque poignancy of silence, saying more than any sound can manage. Now, at the age that I am, silence is precious. When I can sit and explore the landscapes of my mind, rambling in quietude, in the calmness of silence. My love and I sit sometimes in silence, which still says, I love you. For to share a silence filled with promise is precious time well spent. Thank you.
It's great. Thanks.
Okay, next one's called Thinking, and it's a poetic answer to something my wife said to me. You can probably work out what she said to me. Thinking, in the darkest moments, thinking of you, And the moments when escape seems the only choice, thinking of you. At the low times, thinking of you. When the pendulum swings and alarm bells ring, thinking of you. When the dark cloud breaks and the rain shines through, I'm thinking of you. When the bell tolls and my body feels old, I'm thinking of you. When darling makes me smile, thinking of you. When I pause for a while, thinking of you. You see, I am always thinking of you. So there we go. Short one, a little bit cheeky, a little bit rude, but hey, just thought I'd do it anyway. It's called Masturbate. Once I tried to masturbate. It didn't work. I felt like a jerk for rising to the bait. The problem is I just don't fancy myself much. Touchstone texting Kate Winslet didn't help. She was too busy being hideously kinky. My Titanic struggles sinking between the waves of my duvet as passion sank in bed. Think I'll just have a wank instead. Okay, and one more. Glad you like that one, Finn. Right, so in Scotland, we've been told that by February, we have to have these computerized fire alarms all fitted all around every house in Scotland. I have no idea how they're going to do that, but apparently they're going to do that. So that thought, fire alarm, I've got something much more important I would like to get fitted. And it's called a memory alarm. I smelt them before I saw them. Sweet and pungent, laid back and urgent. They crept under the locked door, through the keyhole, the windowsill, the eaves through the wall crack, making me swile nauseously, taking me back to where I may not want to go. They know these memories. They know how I am today. They know just how to make or break my mind right now. Screaming as they fill my soul, break me whole. I try to run, but my door is locked. I know I need to keep me from harm. I need to get to the store for a memory alarm to alert me, wake me, save my sanity. It came through the post in a plain brown box. New batteries just filled, ready to arm. The protection it gives, my memory alarm. Been days since it beeped, flashing red above my bed. Was a memory of you that sneaked in past. But I've changed the settings, blocked out the last 10 years in the memory of my memory alarm. Okay, thank you very much, folks. That's me. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I think we all need a memory alarm at times. I think me more than many times, many times. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Next up, this wonderful Christine Fowler.
Thanks, Finn. I've gone political tonight, so I've got three that are political in different ways. The first one comes from thinking about amnesty and the countries that they operate in. And it's a poem about savage wars that tear country apart and how they affect women in particular. It's called In My Name. I am dirt beneath your feet upon which you trample. I am the bones chewed and gnawed and scattered without a grave. I am the soft body thrown on the ground and gang raped. I am the girl who'll never grow old, whose blood soaks into the ground. I am the babe born from the rape and left to die. I am the mother whose children are torn from her side. I am the land upon which we live, ravaged and torn. I am the war fed with the blood spilt in my name. It's the first one. The second one comes, it's an older one of mine, and it's been prompted because I read recently a couple of articles about women in prison who are pregnant and the baby's dying. I I actually wrote this poem a couple of years ago about the same situation. And it just feels to me like nothing has changed. And I called it Babies in Prison. Babies locked up, stuck in prison's womb with no way out. Mothers crying, babies dying, blood-filled cells, ringing bells. No one coming, lying, dying, no one caring. Locked up, imprisoned in jail, already deemed to have failed by virtue of birth to have no worth. Politicians hum and ha while they polish off their alcoholic jars of whiskey or port without any thought. As women struggle to survive the life inside, and the life inside them struggles to remain alive. The second one. And the last one brings it back to the sort of heart of government, and it's called Once I Believed That Britain Was a Democracy. Once I believed that Britain was a democracy, that we were all proud and free. Now I see instead we're in danger of taking the fascist knee. When children are left unfed while Tory grandees sprout and puff, and the PM is filled with narcissistic need for approbation fueled by false declarations and underhand machinations. Britain on America's coattails spinning, the NHS privatised, Americanised, the PM's friend paid so all the profit goes their way. The PM's lies and covers-ups no longer cause eyebrows to rise as his government dismantled the BBC. The media owned by a too powerful few pervades a more and more right-wing view.
Yeah. You know what I mean by that? Yeah, I've seen it now. Yeah.
Under threat. Objectivity under threat as both the civil service and the judiciary sweat, attacked and undermined by hee-hawing clowns on Westminster benches not subject to official censure. Add boundary changes to the equation and extra Tory seats cause their party much elation. First past the post was never ideal, but now it drives the opposition to despair of ever forming a government where change for the better can be on the cards. So when these changes do take place and choice is gone and nothing else remains, where there is democracy. That's it. That's me done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Excellent.
Yeah. True words there. True words,
Yeah.
I think. Thank you. Okay. Bob Kenyon. Bob.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I was at a reunion for work colleagues last week, and I've penned a few lines. It's called The Reunion. Everyone was dressed in their finery, but with nowhere to go but their memories, and many had long since passed that destination. People nodded, guarded hellos and agreement, trying to establish who was talking, listening with cupped ears to stories they realized were told at the last reunion, lunches that morphed into dinners, dinners that extended into clubs, expenses that kept their wallets full, characters and workplace legends, the good old days, they chimed. The men standing too deep at the bar, like overgrown and discarded teddy bears, squeezed into ill-fitting suits. The ladies' skirts were longer, their hair a different color, but they were skilled at disguising time's ravages. And above the hubbub, we heard the faint strains of sweet Mary Ann McCrae, and we remembered those not present and wondered who would be absent at next year's reunion. First one there. The second one's a very different one. I go to the gym and sometimes you see some amazing sights, but this one got me writing a few lines. It's called Gym Life. She was a nun on the run. I guess it was a habit, a grey blur on the treadmill, Around her bicep, Buddhas were strapped into torture machines, straining lycra, grunting, groaning, stretching sinews, breaking tendons, stepping 1, 2, 1, 2, while she adjusted her wimple. Others whimpered, one more push. She adopted the lotus position, meditating as the beats boomed. Muscle masters crouched, weights on sweaty shoulders, while she thought of purity. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the fact I never know what you're going to get from people here. You think that it's taken to different ways altogether. Wonderful, brilliant. All right, we're moving way across the early hours of the morning now. Let's welcome back Sylvia Ang. Sylvia.
Good morning, everybody. This is Sylvia from Singapore. I'm reading this poem by Deny of God's Love. Looking through your heart, there's a denial of God's love. There's not worth crying for. I can't be your godma. I already got one godson. I can't spread my love for you. I know it's true. It's better to break your heart than never. So don't pester me or I lost my cool and slam a closed door at you. Okay, the next one is called You Raise Me Up Loud. This is a story of a young ex-colleague who always protected big sister Sylvia and afraid she get cheated by scammer. You protected me from wrong to right for safety measure, guided me against people who have hidden agenda. See me through it all. Their guys are not meant for me. Caution me to online dating, scam romance, and scam alert. Their guys only after your hard-earned money. I strive to discern all the trapping. No one is perfect. Just accept the imperfection and move on. Look on the good side of love, and that's nature take its course. Okay, the last piece is coming up. It's called You Invaded My Space. You invaded my space, begging for my undivided attention and my heart. I told you I'm busy with poetry. It has fallen on deaf ears. You blasted the music very loud, hoping to share a slice of a music world. I was polite, still keeping my cool. You show me your online longer gym purchases and boasted showing off your taste. Later, I say I'm on hearing aid. It's loud in my ears. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You stop. I get a piece of my mind with my poetry. Thank you for having me and look forward to see you soon.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you. It's always lovely to have you here. Staying up so late in the morning for us, or early in the morning, or whatever it is. Thank you very much. All right, next up, welcome back, Lucia.
Thank you. I will use the share screen. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
A yellowish dead leaf above the city by Lucia Ramos. 9th, 11th. A beautiful day of morning, and school opened, and children learning, and the smiles, child, to the bright sun. Only a yellowishing dead leaf floated by sky. Sky. The President Bush was in school, teaching pupils and talking with them, and their minds listening too. But on the sky of the USA, a dead leaf floated above, existential death on white-blue clouds. AA-77, unexpected terrorist aircraft, survolated to city. Morning. A man heavenly drink a coffee, a special coffee in a day, a morning day of autumn. An autumn in the USA, UA-93, the second terrorist aircraft, and the man of the table of the restaurants near the towers drinking peaceful his coffee with Mendelssohn violin concerto in his ears. So relaxed, and a good morning with Mendelssohn and the coffee. But stop. Dear President, we are under attack.
And I did something I had never done before and would never do again. I raised my voice to the President of the United States. I said, stay where you are. We're under attack.
We have to rescue you from here now, whispering in Bush's ear in front of children. He kept his calm. He smiled to children and continued to his class. But his heart was beaten for America. America under attack. Under attack. AA-77, UA-93 smashed the towers. Stop.
It was at that moment that
Houston 376. Negative contact. We're looking at United 93. You got United 93? Like you just send it there. United 93, verify 350. You have United 93 south of Shark. We hear some funny noises. We're trying to get him. You have him. No.
Suicide attack is not a consideration. Is not a consideration. Is not a consideration. We have dialogue. Let's talk. Let's talk. But now it's too late. People are dying in the building and on the streets. And police. Everybody back. Everybody back. Back. Another voice. Get out. Get out. Get out. And other. Run. Stop. Back. Run. Back. Get out. The towers. The towers and aircrafts with children and mothers and fathers and neighbors and friends. Silence. Only that. And the towers succumbed. The man with his coffee and Mendelssohn in his ears ran and flew to the sky lifted up by Mendelssohn sounds. 9:59 a.m. Explosion. And the city is destroyed.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion.
help, help, help. In the sky, only emotions and melted towers, melted towers, melted towers with flashes, melted flashes inside. AF-1, United President Aircraft. Save, to save the President, flying in Nebraska, and bunkers, and no oxygen enough. A day, a beautiful day of autumn in USA, children in school, a smile child, and above clouds, a yellowish death leaf floating under the country, carrying a smell of death, plastic, kerosene, brick, clouds, chemicals, and fog, smell of fog, existential death, bringing by yellow death leaf floating about the city. Where are you, humanity? Where are you?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. Excellent, excellent. That was a really great piece of work. That I love mixed media stuff on here, and that was, yeah, heartbreaking. Funny about this anniversary of it, there seemed to be a lot more poems and such written about it this time. I saw appearing on Facebook and things like that. It was, yeah. What can you say? But yeah, thank you, Sylvia, once more. Thank you. Lucia, once more, sorry. Okay, Meher, it's up to you.
Yeah. Yes, it's very, very moving, the last one. It's very difficult to come after that and match up to it. That was a wonderful presentation. What I have here is some meditations on the sea. They're fairly old poems. There are 3 or 4 of them. They're just meditations on the sea. The sea abandons shoals of shells along the white wave line. Some sink sandwards, others drift wavewards. A few smile sunwards on the beach. At one time, I battled the sea, grabbing shells he dared whisk away. I won 15 times, he 15,000, till with warm wave caresses, he lulled my efforts to peace. the next one. The wave that licks the shore caressingly will recede and return in different combinations of salt, sand, shell, wind, and water. Wave follows wave, moment by moment. Tides take 12 hours to turn. Anyone who's tried to drown knows the calmness of the sea is deceptive. When you try to go in, he washes you out. When you struggle to swim, he suckles you in. Tides turn. Ocean endures. Both are of water, changing and unchanging. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone who's tried to drown, I love that line. I've said it before. Wonderful turn. Thank you very much indeed, Maha. Thank you. All right, now we're in for a treat now. We're going to hear some non-English poetry from Becky.
Hi guys. Yeah, I've been threatening to do a poem in French for a while. So I'm going to disappoint you a bit, Finn, because it's only half in French. I usually write in English. I occasionally write in French, whatever the idea comes in. And this poem came in both. So it sounds like it's a translation of the second half is a translation of the first, but it's not. It goes somewhere new. And yeah, I know there's at least one person in the room that can laugh, who's qualified to laugh at my accent, but we won't worry about it too much. Is it all right if I share my screen then? So that I've got a transcription for you. So, okay, here goes. I can't write today. Got things to do, bills to pay. The laundry won't put itself away. I can't write today. I've got to-do lists and not done lists a mile long, and everything that could possibly ever go wrong needs to be anticipated and calculated. Life's so flipping complicated. I can't write today. I've got classes to prep and papers to grade. Got to do the job for which I'm paid. It seems that that's the choice I made, so it's tough. It's not just me needing me to be doing stuff, and whatever I do, it'll never be enough. There's housework and paperwork and financial complications and professional commitments and marital obligations, and the kids need feeding and they're getting bored. Writing's a luxury I can't afford. There's that friend I haven't called back since forever, and to be honest, I'm feeling a bit under the weather. I can't write today. I don't have time to sleep, let alone write. There's so many things to keep me up at night, and once I finally get to bed, there's no peace from the noise inside my head, thoughts untamed, words unwritten, things unsaid. Then the alarm's set for dawn's first light to ensure once more tomorrow I'll be too tired to write. Sorry. Je ne peux pas écrire aujourd'hui. J'ai trop de trucs à faire, tant pis. Je ne sais même plus qui je suis. Je ne peux pas écrire aujourd'hui. J'ai toute une pile de linge à plier, plein de paperasse qu'il faut trier. J'ai toute la maison qu'il faut ranger et moi-même, je dois me changer. Je ne peux pas tout à coup devenir quelqu'un avec de belles choses à dire. Je ne peux pas écrire aujourd'hui tant que je n'ai pas tout compris tout ce qui a déjà été dit. Comment pourrais-je même oser m'approprier des mots et les imposer à des cerveaux déjà débordants, dans un monde déjà si brillant, dans un monde si rempli de mots qu'on ne peut rien entendre, donc on parle trop. On a tous nos petits trucs à dire, on a tous quelque chose à écrire, on est tous des poètes et des poétesses, on écrit pour s'exprimer et se soigner de nos faiblesses, on est tous des écrivains et écrivaines, mieux vaut écrire mieux que se couper les veines, mieux vaut écrire que se jeter contre un mur, quand le poids semble si lourd et le chemin si dur, quand la bataille semble être perdue d'avance, quand la haine règne en maître et la justice n'a aucune chance. Il faut écrire pour faire de nos mots des boucliers contre l'incompréhension et la fatalité, nos textes, nos grenades, nos ruines, nos épées. C'est pour ça que j'écrirai aujourd'hui. Parce qu'écrire, c'est se battre contre le hasard de la vie. Merci.
C'était magnifique, merci.
Oui.
Then we can't hear you.
There you go. I'm saying thank you for that. Thank you. And well done indeed. Thank you. I unmuted myself so I could sit back and enjoy it. Thank you. Andy N, please, mate.
Evening all, guys. That was wonderful stuff by Becky's just read then, I've got to say. That shows you if I try and write a poem in French, all I know is swear words. So I'm going to take me off the hair quite quick if I did that one. So tremendous, seriously. Okay, right. I've got a book on the way at the minute, or a split book with Amanda, my wife, where we're writing a lot of poems about snow and winter. So I'm going to read you out a couple from that tonight. Okay, so these are all brand new pieces. So the book will be out next month. 3 short pieces. First one is Gateposts in the Snow. The largest fields of gateposts standing asleep in the cold, covered in thick blankets of snow, every Windsor, with trees in the outskirts hiding together as forests. The largest fields gave mysteries, lay deep in moonlight and winter, stepping off into whiteness, and train sounds in the distance, blowing the trees apart, leaving a tarted smell of breath. The large fields and forests hold the stillness in winter together, a marriage of 2 elements, filtering an icy mystery, brought together like ripples in the river, dissolving like an apparition. Okay, that's the first piece done. Now, the little book is going to be called, I said before, actually, The Snow Was All We Can See. It'll be out at some point in November. Okay, the second piece I'm going to do is called Winter Fair. Losing our tracks across the stars, we couldn't see much on the way back as soon as the snow came down again, covering the pathway from the lake to the other side of the clearing in moments, swiping us away the smell of donuts and then the fireworks of the nearby fair moments for turning our hot chocolate into ice, warm marshmallows into dust, the smell of burning wood and smoke, almost like the weather was playing with both our emotions when we couldn't find our car briefly. And the last one I'm going to do is I'll do you a little bit, some bit more bawdy now. The book isn't just poetry. There is going to be a little bit of flash fiction in it as well. So this one is a bit rude. And I thought, people have got to been rude. I like rudeness. And I know Finn does wave his hand up there. Okay, this isn't a true story, but it's called Secret Santa. Now, if anybody that's not in England doesn't know what Secret Santa is, Secret Santa is like, it's an office sort of tradition, certainly in England and probably other countries, where you basically buy a little present for somebody else in the team you may work on. And it often gets drawn out of the hat as well, so Secret Santa. She had got divorced. Everybody knew in the office that August gone. And when it got to Secret Santa, everybody dreaded her name after the amount of bad-mouthing she has said about him in the restroom every break and lunchtime. I hope I don't get it, Andy said. I wouldn't know what to get them. I'm pulling out of a drawer a name out, Amanda threatened. You're not going to win either way if you draw her name. Be kind to her, Reggie chipped in. The poor woman's just come out of a 20-year marriage. I was sat next to her in the pub at the works do the other month, Mike cried. She was a frigging nightmare. I've never seen anybody so frustrated. Antonia drew her name out of the hat, and Sarah told everybody in the restaurant with relief. She bought her a vibrator and hand-faked her handwriting. They had to call the police at the end of the day the following week after everybody passed their presents round and they thought somebody had left a bomb in the bin outside. That's me done.
Thank you. Thank you. In the context that I remember when Secret Santa was about first started, it was an American idea that snuck over here when nobody was looking, I think. Can't remember them years ago. It seemed to be a thing in this past couple of decades or so. Anyway, thank you very much, Andy. Look forward to your book coming out. And we have 2 in a row, people making their blot debut. And first up is a man who inadvertently, through a Facebook post, gave me cause to write American Gods because he posted a review of a band where it was braggadocious swing rock playing. So I had to write a poem about that. So would you please welcome first time to Dig Wayne, please.
Thank you. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Finn. Hello, everybody. Greetings from Los Angeles. This first piece is called Dropping Ashes in the Caviar. They arrived in an Uber Bentley, mustache wax a la Dali. His date was a 75-year-old former Ukraine beauty contestant with no visible work done. They were both high, low on heroin, nodding, drooling, charming, expensive, 80s pop star. He had gained a lot of weight since Live Aid, a real survivor of sorts. Dropping ashes in the caviar. This is a longer piece. It's called Okay, You Mugs. My gun is a ghost. The freeway is made of glass, patrolled by cotton candy helicopters, law-abiding cat burglars, scaled down, well-done marinated skyscrapers, anxious to hack into top secret squirrel, Morocco mole, ghetto fabulous pyramid schemes. Innocent vegetarian murderers peddle monk's hood route to prison kindergarten teachers dying at the speed of light. Levitating, fist-bumping fascist marionettes don't know my gun is a ghost and the freeways are made of glass. My life is a candy store robbery gone wrong because the delicate infrastructure of left-handed pink, featherlight, deadly taser sharpshooters that fear feet worse than fate. They now cozy up to the bullseye, so hold your nose and swallow. Is this threatening you? I certainly hope so. The freeway's made of glass and my gun is a ghost story told to teenage pallbearers whose mamas don't love them carrying water in their mouths, afraid to spit down a dry well. Death row is child's play. Smoke bootleg candy, tender cigarettes while peg-leg women bully stick braids your hair and sucks your cock until you disappear between the blue hot steel bars. Spry old men steal arthritic hubcaps, carjacking smartasses, setting them on fire with red-tailed hawk feathers and grizzly bear earwax. Your father's a ballet dancer and your mother's a dead kleptomaniac. You're a ghost gun baby grave and a slow speed chase on a Southland freeway made of glass. Adios, Kimosabi. See you in the funny papers, Ration my toilet paper out to only black assholes after I'm gone. So the joke's on you, Poopadoo. Social injustice is no excuse for lack of personal hygiene. So the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a ghost gun is a good guy with a ghostier gun. Couple crazy on the run throughout the Midwest, mowing down background checks, escaping traffic breaks from here to East Timbuktu. Flew the coup de grace, shattering glass freeway etiquette, piercing broken lines of white privilege as the poisonous hummingbirds tell the wilting flowers, this is not who we are, but who he's always been. Only now we get steak fries with it. And your defense team has a magic carpet to lie on. There'll be marshmallow dream bars and a dainty 30-year sentence that won't even leave a scar from the phantom bullet hole inside your ghost soul made of glass. Okay, you mugs. Got a short piece here to finish with. It's called Blank Verse. The poem I wrote last night had no words. I memorized it so I wouldn't forget it. It was about Houdini, but the title escapes me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. Wow, busting through the saloon doors of Blot with power there. Thanks, Dig. Great to have you on board.
Thanks, my pleasure.
That's wonderful stuff. We all agree. And I think actually, before we introduce our next one, I don't often read here, but I'm going to read that poem. Some of you have heard it already. I'm going to read American Gods for you. Braggadocious swing rock playing, you're dancing with the sun. The stench of a broken heart prevails. There's sadness in the funeral home. The women are mourning for a once forgotten son. And you may think that it doesn't have to, but the world will keep on changing even though you stay standing still. And you lost it all because you left it all. Don't you remember? Don't you recall? I mean, fear is fiction. If it's real in your mind, it's real in the world. You let Wednesday sneak out the front door while with death you are preoccupied. And sadness is a feeling that even a dazzle of zebras can get when a lion takes one of their young. I mean, separate hearts that once beat in time. Now one rides the elevator to the afterlife where they have to acknowledge truth before moving on. And the other, sitting in a cinema, watching movies made for one, retreating from reality, yellow lilies, one-point roses, stepping out of the screen, between ashes and demons and the shadow moon. Gone, sometimes forgotten, but you remember where he has been. And King Cotton is not your memory, but your history so long ago, and the past remains in the present, haunted by the hunters. When we are all different birds flying in the same sky, dropping out, falling down, mourning the forgotten and forgetting the morning when it all went wrong. When the flight feathers were clipped because they wanted to stop you flying, to stop you trying to be you. And controlling your living, in control of your death, pulling, sucking out your very last breath. Money lenders, avarice angels whispering, stop dancing, we know what you know. You looked away for a second, knowing his last breath was coming, and you missed that moment in time. When the music stopped, the sun went out, and that's when the beat went in the box and became that memory. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Moving on. A few things in there, Dig might have gotten out from it too there. Moving on, we'll go welcome our second debut blotter who'd probably enjoy in this for the different languages that's been on tonight, because we know that it's his thing. So please welcome Nazar Nazarov. Thank you.
Hello, everybody from Ukraine. I'm very happy to be with you. And I would like to share some of my recent poems. One is called Incomplete. There is a right to be incomplete until you die. You will wake up one morning and feel your completeness as a form of air you inhale and cannot exhale. You breathe in and in, life goes on and on. You search it in and out, but the exit is not there. There is a right to be incomplete until you die. You look at me from the old Polaroids, smiling as if still young. I touch your hair and it shivers and falls apart, and you tremble as if still alive. Our poems will be excavated like mammoths' tusks that had been carved all around, will be admired, but never read. And if read, not allowed. And if allowed, not by us. There was an illusion of the presence of your lips and fingers on mine, and I stood waiting, and you never came. It was incomplete. And the second one, it's called The City. It's after a poem of Greek poet Konstantinos Petru Kavafi. Kavafi, who is very known for his polis, The City. And the motto is from his poem, "The city will follow you." Once upon a time in a country of mild climate, there was a city without gates. Nobody entered it, nobody went out. Ambassadors from nowhere hasted their horses of dust to participate in the feasts inside the 6 stone walls and disappeared half the way. The city, perfectly round from outside, had no angles. Inside there were crossroads and squares and terraces with the gardens, young men and women who would never die because they were never born. They sat in eternal silence, covered with dust, and cried, "Oh, our city that has no gates, we will never get out of here because we've never arrived here, because the exit is the only opposite of entrance, and we sit in the middle of 2 extremities and have no age, no yesterday or tomorrow, void of today that propagated to the eternity. Oh, holy God, let us try living or dying, at least. Thus we would know who we are or who we would be if we were not here." That's all. Thanks you all. Thanks everybody for hearing me, for listening me. Yeah.
Well done. Enjoy that.
Did you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was great to have you here. Wonderful. Glad you finally made it, Nada. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come again. All right. We're moving on now to next month's feature point. Please welcome. Oh, next year's, whatever. Next month's as well. Michael Schindler.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to start with a couple short, sort of seasonal things and then do something a little longer. This first one is called Wax and Wane. I find an increased urgency in each minute discovery, absorbing the fragile beauty left alive as autumn waxes. To memorize, I am inclined each splash of color that I find, blooms and blossoms on still green vines, each golden leaf that clings to branch. I stop each time I see a rose and bend the stem and thus expose its precious essence to my nose, intoxication soon to fade. I'm not the type to quote from hymns, inspired more by truth that stems as days grow short and color dims. Though seasons turn, grace never wanes. And this next one is a different take on change. It's called It's Fall. First fragile leaf falls is scarcely noticed until other feeble, parched, brown skins flutter to cold earth, are swept away or interned, captured casualties. Tree stands stripped of all color, denuded, helpless. And so, when the axeman strikes, its fall is little noticed. And this one is called Mango, sort of a reminiscence. Children weave their way through the kitchen, around table legs and cook's knees, hovering over basket, pressing firm skins finding the ripest mangoes. Holding their finds up, chef knives slice sideways around teardrop lozenge pits. Pull apart halves, one side pulpily clinging to seed, other freeze easier to cut, blade striping checkerboard, puffed out fruit pops up into firm, spongy cubes. Juice drips from smiles over chins, sweet as heaven, finest of fresh fruits. Wet hand towel wipes fingers and faces, squirming, squealing cherubim dart for door into sunshine, roll down green grass hill into bed of chrysanthemums, pick handfuls of mango-colored blossoms, gather treasure into plastic bucket, beg for needle and thread, concentration and comedy as flower by flower, long strands are strung, tied into delicate garlands, fragrant as the garden. Racing back to kitchen, tugging on pant legs, staff bow and curtsy, gifts of earth and toil, tiny artisans' creations tugged over heads. Having adorned adored adults, a laughing flash, dash back out the door, racing across field, black and mango-hued monarchs, flitteries, and painted ladies flutter step in aerial pirouettes as dinner bell rings, feet turn, fleet flight towards tent. Feast laid out resplendent in thick, tall metal vessels, staff serve from long table. Hurried repetition of ablutions, clean hands hold plates overhead, giggling lips, beaming grins, rice, dal, and subji ladled, juices combine and congeal, running over roti bread. Best of all desserts in bowl, mango matcha pudding sprinkled with pistachio, bellies full with treats, sweet day turns dark, recline on the cushions, soon sleep shuts lids, beloved kids, scooped up, carried gently to bed. Thank y'all.
Woo.
Woo.
Thank you. Thank you. You got a fruit debate going on in the chat now, like after the mango. A fruit debate. Would have thought of that on blot? Never mind. Wonderful. It's great. Poetry takes you sometimes, eh? Wesley Constable.
Couldn't find the unmute button. Goodness me.
that was another one of these silent and poems without words and things.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna read maybe two. The first one is silly. It's an older one. And I spotted it the other day and liked it. So this is inspired by a true experience. And yeah, I guess I could. You'll figure it out once I start reading. It's called Into the Belly of the Beast. We were taught to believe as children that certain things are true. Excuse me, I've just lost my place. Sorry. You would think I've never done this before. Here we go again. We were taught to believe as children that certain things are true and that certain things are false. For example, I'm not certain, but maybe I believe that the food in my mouth, about to be chewed by my teeth, about to be swallowed by my throat and taken down into my belly to nourish me and sustain my life, knows it's food. It might be that song, like that song by Depeche Mode, Your Own Personal Jesus. The food you swallow might know it's your own personal food. It might know it's my food, as in the customary prayer for what I'm about to receive. I give thanks. There is a question about the food. There are always two sides. Is the gratitude reciprocal? Reciprocal. Is the food grateful, thankful to be food? Is the food my food, your food, aware that it is food? Or does the experience, like many quick changes in life, happen too fast to track, the shift into non-existence, or more simply, the shift into simply a change becomes just like tuning into another channel? When California Andy, drunk, stuck his finger into the tiger cage, waggling it, saying, "Here, kitty, kitty," was the top of his finger grateful? Was it anxious? Or in a more Buddhist sense, was it simply just relaxed and paying attention to go into the belly of the tiger? I understand this in a sense because children don't lie about how they understand things. Later, of course, they are told they are wrong. I believe the children. They have it right mostly, give or take a few details. I was a child, and when I stopped eating. I stopped eating, I was told. I do not remember the event, but it sounds like me, because I didn't want to hurt the food. So I always believed the story. I didn't want to hurt the food, understanding that my teeth would be involved, probably because I was a biter, as in one who bit. It happens among children. It had been demonstrated on me as a cure just how sharp teeth can be, which caused me to stop biting. Teeth can do harm, it's true. I liked food. Food was good. Everything about food is good. No more harm to the food. I promised myself and perfunctorily stopped eating. My mother, a quick thinker, saw the problem, and in her wisdom, she declared that the food, presumably aware of what it was and its function and its food nature, in my mother's ad hoc philosophy, wanted to have a party in my stomach. And happy day, I started eating again. For who doesn't approve of parties, even the food, that which is about to be eaten? If there is a party in one's stomach, it is a very good day. So the food, our food, you and I, all are one in this perfect party world, all co-joined in our blissful state before possible non-existence. Note I say possible because, wow, who the fuck knows? And after we enjoy, before we flush, whatever that means and however broadly you want to define flush, and even after we flush, we can imagine the journey of our former food down into the belly of the earth, another phase, and only if we are lucky, fertilizing something or someone else's existence or growth, only if we are lucky, participating in another renewed cycle of existence. The material world, that which has been wrongly labeled as inanimate, as in possessing no life, pulsates and throbs with life. Everything is alive, no exceptions. Do not forget your childish wisdom. I'm telling you this, my friends, as the wise child I once was and hope to become again. So that's that one. So the next one I'm going to read is, let's see, real fast. This one called The Swimmer. We forget it all witches learn to begin again. The forgetting and the not remembering the exact shape and form of what it was, but added to that the more, as deep as tree roots, as deep as me, having suddenly jumped into a body of water, strange to me, and me cautious and throwing away the fear of an earlier form of me, not sure of letting go, the water now, with my head above, safe and breathing, in love with the air that is life filling my lungs, kissing the blessing that is the sky, nothing a threat now, no fear, for I am swimming, released in the element. And what then? Submerged now again to begin the toil of swimming to a shore I'm not sure will be there. Submit to the water, whether a dark blue or the turquoise of the southern islands. An embryo again, or another form yet unknown to us, these land animals which we are. What if to float, releasing up to the air to breathe, to look, to see if there is land which is in reach, and reach for it awkwardly or with grace, maybe arriving to crawl on eager knees and make my way as I need and perhaps want, now on dry land, to be on dry land and not permeated with that which was past and that which we will come again to be, the wet of the underworld, the wet of the underground, the underwater from which we come. And that's me for tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy that journey for food there. That was interesting. I love that. Okay. We're kind of fine because next poet's supposed to be going away pretty soon, but you can talk quickly, Chris, if you want to.
Okay, sure.
There's a Chris date.
Okay, thank you. Stura. Boats steer seas and strums, the Vos highway o' yawls. Flock-filled vales cradle lambs, wi' caddies and orphaned foals. Sheep croog in a scrum, their fleeces burl to shawls. The capes sow yows and rams, snackots like boiling gruel. The Viking costumes for fire festivals, tossed to the Lamhouse rooms, and byres are their halls. The croft o' crosy wombs, dialects and seashells, picked sneeb i their tombs, lullaby by sheep yodels. Oars turn to drums, the isles are in a spell, pandemonium like a gill o' bells. Mosaics o' streets, coins rattle and clank in tricks between banks, pubs echo laughs and pranks, biggins rise for the planks. Traffic like spinning plates, shops, groceries o' freight, our mosaics o' streets, markets chock-a-block, we met. Sellers announce goods for the sea's satty hood, candlesticks waltz braid, thimbles, teaspoons, and treed. The city is spread like a fairy's bed, flower poster, carved stones, chisels fine-tune the bones. The Clyde is the vein by three twisting plains, where canals are rains, gnomes' fisses are on trains. We iron brew tinged skies, homecoming birds fly, anchors cast and tied, winds tempos puff lullabies. Burns are baptisms of fire. Burns are baptisms of fire, big and spiked with claw barbed wire. Hills are hurled in hosts, armour o' the winter frosts. Gales fey a werewolf's breath, gardens clip at wing wreaths. Critters find it for themselves, curling into the seashells. Animals in gas masks, wee tattooed horns and tusks, as if chammed in stocks, clutched wee chemical brooks. Blan cludes o' SOS, Federican Pitfires, Aquila Wilderness, this is a Pict's address. Gallow rops for wittered dumps, middens in a muckle clump, burst lick the earth his mumps, warts and skills ticket humps, that snares the critters' necks and feet and traps them in the gill and greet. Trows at brocket borders, skies summon about the wader, ram's scarves are not at tiders. The shore is like showed lader, tying isles together. There is corns o' mulled powder, o'er the scabbed rock shooters, rummelt stones are gathered, lambs roar for their midder. Prince sheep come to be feders, brocks wreckit by rock ladders, lassos spun by the speeders, coins roll through the header. For a dowry to a doubter, sign peppers fey a ogre, across swittles o' water, sprinkle in wi' sleekit otters. So they gie the spike quarter, full o' slaves and martyrs, windows upo' the horrors, wi' trows at brocket borders. Maloshan, the earth is a midden like cindered puddings, the land is bedridden, wi' a things no bidden. Factrobs wi' fiction, weather scripts friction, the moon is a shilling, i' the bank Lincoln. O men's at the fishing, a wheat Maloshan, the clutch o' ocean, teaspoons o' sea dragons, germs that were hidden, raised like sma buttons, that gluffed and hid smutten, the doitin mutton. Bacon turned to shoon, oo weaved o'er the tune, i' the sorrow's kitchen, swittle and poison, and the press is forbidden, reeking and rotten, ra rosted and riven, cream dreeping like cotton. Werewolves and villains, witches o' women, wi' clad fingers milling the sun into lemons. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for coming, and sorry you have to rush away. I'll just looking at the subtitles, the live transcript, it doesn't deal with straightforward English very at all.
Sure.
It's even crazier for us dealing with Scots stuff.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, good night.
Right, we've got two more before we come to a feature point. So first of all, welcome, Kate Jenkins.
This first one is taken from a mother and daughter, I'm the mother by the way, mother and daughter collaboration. And it's just been printed in Feral, the art and poetry collection. So it's the first time it's ever been spoken. And it comes with a content warning for eating disorder. It's a short one and I'll cheer you up after this. Prisoner in your body. The knuckle of your wrist, your jawline, angle of your pelvis, your skeleton exposes a feeling euphoric. Your bones, your bars. When you run your finger along your collarbone, you are lost in ever diminishing cycles of control. Restrict, exercise, shower, repeat, don't eat, repeat, repeat. The trophy of your bones, the goal of another pound. And my daughter's art accompanies another poem. So there's two of her pieces of art in there and two poems at the time that she had the worst of the eating disorder, which she's a lot better from that now. This other one was written after the slam that actually Leslie and I and maybe some others on the session today were in Ubi Hive. And I was feeling a little bit, what's the right word? Well, the poem says it all. So, yeah, here you go. My ego is curled into a ball, hugging its knees and gently rocking. I feel the movement in my gut, churning an emptiness. An empty can fill you right up, consume all your optimism, turn out the light with a flick of its forked tongue, while singing you a lullaby of murderous fairy tales to imprison you with fear, lest you believe yourself to be strong, have illusions that you belong. Let me tell you, you are wrong. No one wants you here. At least that's what your wounded ego would have you know. All the light in the world is snuffed out by the black hole of your self-doubt. And that washing machine drum keeps churning, trying to wash away the guilt that you spilt all over your uniform of conformity. Hum, drum, conformity. The stains of a misfit identity will never be invisible to the pristine self-esteem of this shallow society. So show up where imperfect fits. Share your scars and hurts where healing lives. Speak where no one asks you to wear the mask of normal. It's there where your soul can sing. And this note is pure and true, but can only be heard by you. At least that's what the echo of your flickering ego wants you to think, wants you to shrink into the shadow of self-denial, to drink the poison of not good enough, to blink in the face of not welcome here. Well, your soul has other ideas, so give those imposter fears a bloody good shake. Your soul wants you to be wide awake to the brilliance of your light, the precision of your empathic insight, the kindness that is the day to their night. Your soul wants you to turn the ego's wrongs into right. So right, right, right. Write it out loud, because you can choose to be full of sorrow, or you can choose to create, to write a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good message.
Yeah. Write a better tomorrow, as we all should. Thank you. Okay, just before we get to feature point, we have our third blot first timer tonight. Oh no, would you please welcome Mr. D. Allen.
This is my second time here at Like a Blot from the Blue.
You're right, it is. Sorry.
But
My
thank you
bad.
thank you for that.
So welcome back then.
Thank you. I like to tonight in acknowledgement of the American holiday called Indigenous Peoples Day, which happens every second Monday in October. I'm going to do 2 poems for y'all. And those 2 poems happen to come from my 5th book, Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018, released Earth Day 2020. And to help me out in that endeavor, I'm going to use the share screen feature. Two pictures for the first poem, 1 picture for the second. The first poem comes from section 2 of the book entitled Beauty of Nature, based on actual events and a piece of folklore from my old home state of Georgia. From pages 26 and 27, this is called Chulagi Rose. Ever heard of the Chulagi Rose? The US government had gotten greedy again in 1828. They found out there was gold underneath the southern land called Georgia. 10 years later, the US Army was sent down there to evict the Chulagi Indians, also known as the Cherokee, from mountain homes they've held on to for thousands of years. At gunpoint, the only notice ever given, the original gentrification. The Chulagi Indians were made to take a long cross-country walk west, all 1,200 miles from Army stockades in Tennessee to some barren land, later called Oklahoma. Whole families marched through Mississippi winter snow without moccasins on their feet. 4,000 died from starving, freezing, disease. Mothers cried for their young as numbers of their tribe fell on the way westward. Tribal elders saw that and asked the Great Spirit high in Galunti, heaven, for a sign. Anything to lift the saddened spirits of they women. Each time a mother would shed her tears, they feed the ground along Muna del Chuni, the trail of tears. Hold up, y'all. Another trail would form. A trail of snow-white roses grew, starting from one, white as tears, an answer to the tribal elders' prayers, a sweet-smelling gift from Pachamama, Mother Earth, something to show across several states that 10,000 Chulagi Indians had survived genocide. Now you know about the Chulagi Rose, an old native legend, real talk. And that first poem was called Chulagi Rose, which is based on a piece of folklore from my old home state of Georgia, which connects the growth of these snow white flowers to a traumatic event in the history of my other Native American ancestors who had died on the way to barren no man's land, which became the future state of Oklahoma, known as the Trail of Tears. And the last poem I'm about to do for y'all comes from section 3 of the book. And let me use the share screen feature one more time. Let me pull up the picture first. The last poem comes from section 3 of the book entitled Beauty of Nature. And this is mercifully short, half a page long. And this is one of those poems where the title also serves as the first line, based on actual events from page 54 from the section Travels Through Nature. This is called Kule Loklo, was what the Miwok Indians called Olima, California, USA, prior to Spanish contact. The visitor center held no fresh wonders for me. The path ahead of it intrigued me more, cutting past eucalyptus trees, which finally led to Kule Loklo, nestled under thick Douglas fir trees, katka houses, where gatherers of salmon, clams, and acorns slept, Lama Lodge, where men went, sweating themselves to purity, Roundhouse, where the chief mother gave prayers to her clan, a step back in time to a village Miwok tongues named to honor, Valley of the Bear.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And that
Thank
last poem was called Kule Loklo. And the picture you just saw is the inside of the roundhouse that I mentioned in the poem, where the Miwok who once lived in a village like that would go there for all their gatherings, including for tribal collective prayer and other things. And those two poems happen to come from my fifth book, Eloi Onichi, now available from Conviction to Change Publishing. From This Mic to Your Ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for listening. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Thank you. Always great, always uncompromising and interesting and great history stuff there. Thank you. All right, we now come to feature poet, the feature storyteller, feature Canadian, feature Conway. Just sit back and relax and enjoy Jeff Cottrill.
Okay, thanks all for coming. I'll start out with this one. I will break the Shane Koizan rule and do some poetry about poetry. This is not, I can't say it's an older piece or a newer piece. It was an unfinished old piece that I finally got around to finishing this year. It's called What Slam Poets Want. Hey kiddo, come here. I want to talk to you for a sec. That was terrific what you did up there, huh? Crowd sure loved it too, and so did the judges. You sure got away with poetry and stuff. I just wanted to introduce myself. Here's my card. I'm with the Teddy Wintergrass Agency in New York, and I'm always on the lookout for big talent like what you got. I really like what you've been doing on that stage tonight. I really dug that love poem you did in the first round. My favorite bit was when you described the person as, and I quote, awesomely awesome sauce full of awesomosity. Yeah, I really dig that kind of subtle wordplay. It's a rare gift. And that second poem you did about how misogyny is really bad. Wow. I mean, I didn't even know misogyny was bad. Look at the converts you're making. But here's what I really wanted to talk to you about. Like I said, I'm always scouting around for big talent. And I'm already convinced after seeing it in only one slam that you've got that thing. Teddy Wintergrass is always looking for that thing. Everybody in the biz is looking for that thing, and you've got that thing. I don't even know what that thing is. I don't even think that thing knows what that thing is, but what I do know is you got it. So here's what I want you to do, kiddo. I want you to keep my card and give me a ring at your earliest convenience, and we'll do lunch sometime soon, because what I can offer you is opportunity, baby. You'll be so full of opportunity, you'll be constipated with it. There'll be so much opportunity, you'll be begging for a break, and you'll never get a break, and you'll be glad of it. How would you like to see your picture up on the billboards in Times Square? Stick with me, kiddo, and I can make it happen in a year. What about the movies? How about that big, beautiful face of yours up on movie screens all over the world? Moviegoers everywhere seeing your face and hearing you slam your poetry, huh? I can do it for you. What about TV? Late night spots on the Jimmy Fallon, the Jimmy Kimmel, the Jimmy Colbert, huh? Whatever Jimmy floats your monkey, I can do it for you. How about a record deal? No more of those crappy homebird poetry CDs nobody ever listens to. We'll get you a deal with EMI or Sony. Get you into a real recording studio in New York or LA. We can team you up with some of the biggest music stars of the day too. How would you like to collaborate on a song with Hanson? Do the kids still like Hanson these days? Who cares? You can collaborate with somebody. Internet. Sure, I hear the folks are using this internet a lot these days. We can get you your own sponsored YouTube channel or whatever the new thing is. We can see to it that your Twitter is the biggest goddamn Twitter in the whole of the known world. People will retweet you until they can't take any more of you, and then they'll retweet you even more. Maybe they'll even find you on the AOL. Who knows? What's that? A book deal. Sure, I suppose we can get you one of those too, if that's the bag of wax you're panting for. But really, do people even read books anymore? I mean, other than that Daniel Steele lady, it's slam performance the kids are into these days, and we want to exploit that to the hilt of its peak, or the peak of its hilt. But hey, you want to be in books too? We can get you in books too. Maybe the kids can read along with your poems while they're hearing you speak them on your CDs and on the TV bits, huh? Sort of educational like. See, I always like to see the kids get educated. So kiddo, get ready to see your life changed. I'm going to see to it that folks from America to Australia, from the Arctic to the Middle East are hearing your slam poems. They'll know them by heart. They'll even dance to them. And think how rich you're going to be. Money, 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 money. Money. You're going to have plenty of it. So give me a ring and we'll set it up. And the best part is you don't have to go to these dingy bars anymore and perform with losers like these folks. They're just suckers. You're better than them and you know it. Or at least you're going to be soon, kiddo. All right, I'm off to the club with Paris, Kanye, and my 3 mistresses. I'll be seeing you there someday too. That's what slam poets want. Next one is a relatively new one. Vanilla ice cream people. From the makers of vanilla ice cream, we now bring you vanilla ice cream people. You find them in all the monster malls and gated backyards, never leaving a location without a car. Vanilla ice cream people. The people who find butterscotch ripple too dark and dangerous. The way great artists suffer for their visions, vanilla ice cream people ache to achieve the perfect front lawn. When vanilla ice cream people want to rock out, they blast the neighbors with Celine Dion and Barry Manilow. When vanilla ice cream people want a fun night out, they shove the kids into the SUV and dash to Pickle Barrel in a softball game. When vanilla ice cream people want a good laugh, they count on Garfield or an afternoon of Who's the Boss reruns. When vanilla ice cream people want to improve their minds, they scan their bookshelves for the works of Anthony Robbins and Philip McGraw. Vanilla ice cream people dream vanilla ice cream dreams. One lady says, "Today I'm a sales rep, but if I apply myself and work hard and set clear goals and steel myself to face tough challenges, in a few years, why, I could be assistant to the manager. No, dare I say it, assistant manager." And one man says, "I'm so depressed, but I'll feel better after I buy that new waffle maker by Cuisinart." Vanilla ice cream people know how to make benign conversation that offends nobody. "How's it going?" And "Mondays, eh?" Or if they feel plucky, "You working hard or hardly working?" Ha, ha, ha. And vanilla ice cream people have bedrock values. They know what is important in life, like a 2-story house with a giant garage, housing at least 2 cars and the sexiest lawnmower in the lane. And babies, barrels and barrels of babies, and more babies. There can never be too many babies. Babies raised more by Disney and football than by their parents, who just pay for swimming and piano lessons. Babies who eat vanilla ice cream or plain chips for every dessert and never question the meaning of it all, and then grow up to be the next generation of vanilla ice cream people. Vanilla ice cream people who would rather die than give Neapolitan a fair try. Thank you. That was vanilla ice cream people. I don't know if you can hear, but the family upstairs, they must be watching a sports game because I keep hearing "yeah" and stuff like that. So I think the baseball people are doing well or something. I have a CD for sale. It's been out for a while. And it's called, this album is Knit Fanny, and I can give it to you for £5 or $5 plus shipping. Finn has a copy. Marissa has a copy. I've never heard either of them say it sucks. So there's your endorsement. So I'm going to do one piece from the CD to show you why they don't think it sucks. It's called Safety Instructions. Congratulations on your purchase of the new Darwina 2021 microwave oven. Your Darwina microwave oven will provide first-rate microwave cookery for you and your family for years to come. Before you begin operating your Darwina microwave oven, please read the following safety instructions in order to maximize your continuing satisfaction with our product. Do not operate your Darwina microwave oven if the door cannot close properly or if it is bent in any way. Do not use if the hinges or latches are broken. Do not stand in front of the Darwina microwave oven for a long period of time, as this has been known to cause tumors. Do not leave an operating Darwina microwave oven unattended. Do not use a brown paper bag to cook popcorn, as this creates a risk of fire. Do not put your face or any other body part inside your Darwina microwave oven while it is operating. Do not bring your Darwina microwave oven into the shower or bathtub with you. Do not lift your Darwina microwave oven in the air and strike it upon your head repeatedly. This has been known to cause injury. Do not stand under a falling Darwina microwave oven after it has been dropped from a tall building. Do not place your Darwina microwave oven in a catapult and then have someone release the catapult while you are standing within the oven's flight path. This can be rather dangerous. Do not use your Darwina microwave oven as an ear piercing tool or for home dentistry. Do not play catch with your Darwina microwave oven. Do not attempt to fit your Darwina microwave oven fully into your mouth or any other bodily orifice. Please do not fill your Darwina microwave oven with explosives and then detonate them while you are within 1 meter of the oven and eating a deli stick. Do not hold your Darwina microwave oven while jumping off a high cliff and trying to fly. Do not hold your Darwina microwave oven while running into an operating airplane propeller. Do not use your Darwina microwave oven to help jam scissors into your crotch. Do not walk with your Darwina microwave oven late at night on random side streets in downtown Detroit. Do not attempt to tweak the nose of a wild grizzly bear while in the vicinity of your Darwina microwave oven. Do not use your Darwina microwave oven as a masturbatory aid. This is not necessarily dangerous, but it is a little weird. Do not attempt to operate your Darwina microwave oven while tied to a railroad track, dangling from a skyscraper, running through enemy fire across a battlefield, sticking your head out the window of a moving vehicle, playing Russian roulette, waving raw meat in front of a charging bull, diving into an empty swimming pool, eating Drano, drinking arsenic, horsing around in a room full of industrial machinery, or smoking. Do not attempt to operate your Darwina microwave oven while pulling the trigger of a pistol, only to find that the pistol appears to be out of bullets, and then out of puzzlement and curiosity, peering down the barrel of said pistol while pulling the trigger again. Thank you for taking the time to read the safety instructions for your new Darwina 2021 microwave oven. Every one of these safety instructions was created as a result of numerous tests involving a multitude of live human and animal subjects, many of whom were orphans, kittens, and adorable doe-eyed little bunnies. So that was safety instructions. That's on the CD, and I will post info on how to get that a bit later on. And I don't believe we have any other Canadians here, unless Jenny is my local friend, Jenny. I have no idea. So I'm going to go and insult my home country for the next 3 or 4 minutes. This is called the Canadian Book Awards. Welcome one and all to the Canadian Book Awards for 2021. The Canadian Book Awards serves to award the books that the Canadian literary establishment likes. We seek to promote Canadian values and Canadian themes to which all Canadians relate in a perfectly Canadian way, in Canada. Our first prize at the Canadian Book Awards this year goes to When Crying Bears Shudder in the Wind, which is a quiet, subtle coming-of-age story about the immigrant experience in the slums of Toronto. Our second prize at the Canadian Book Awards for 2021 goes to The August of Her Soul, which is a quiet, subtle coming-of-age story about the immigrant experience in the Westmount neighborhood of Montreal. Our third prize for 2021 at the Canadian Book Awards goes to The Raspberries Are in Season Again, Papa, a quiet, subtle coming-of-age story about the immigrant experience in rural Saskatchewan. Our fourth prize this year at the Canadian Book Awards is going to Verily Must the Watchmen Leer at Sunset, a quiet, subtle coming-of-age story about the immigrant experience in the downtown east side and area of Vancouver. The Canadian Book Awards also has a category for poetry. Our first prize for poetry at the 2021 Canadian Book Awards goes to With Vulnerable Roses Do I Sweep the Curtained Walls, a collection of quiet, subtle coming-of-age poems about the immigrant experience in St. Thomas, Ontario. And seeing that we have some extra time, let us go over the list of books that are not getting any recognition from the Canadian Book Awards. We are not giving a prize to that popular book about the space aliens and the serial killer who terrorize an affluent suburb. Nor are we giving any awards to that fascinating experimental short story collection that breaks new ground in structure and language. The Canadian Book Awards is also not giving a prize to that really funny book that viciously satirizes timeless, universal human foibles, nor to that scathing character study that takes bold artistic risks, nor to that passionate historical romance with the vivid war scenes, nor to that sprawling epic about the eccentric family that changed the world, nor to that moving, tear-jerking story about the boy and the dog and the mysterious stranger. And we are definitely not giving a prize to that quiet, subtle coming-of-age story about the immigrant experience in the suburbs of Halifax, but which is also very entertaining. Good God, no. That completes the list of all the books that were published in Canada this year. To close this year's ceremony, we present our annual series of Lifetime Achievement Awards. Our first 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Margaret Atwood. Our second 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award also goes to Margaret Atwood. Our third 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award is a tie, a four-way tie between Michael Ondaatje, Shane Koizan, Paul Vermeersch, and Margaret Atwood. Our fourth 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award goes to the rotting corpse of Leonard Cohen, which we have dug up just for the honor. To commemorate this award, we are delighted to treat you to a special musical performance, an exclusive 4-hour and 23-minute version of Mr. Cohen's Hallelujah, performed on the ukulele by Margaret Atwood. Thank you for attending the 2021 Canadian Book Awards. Every one of our attendees will receive a generous gift bag of craft dinner, hockey pucks, and winter depression. Go Leafs! That was the Canadian Book Awards. And I believe I have time for at least one more. So before I do my last one, just thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Finn, for having me. I'll put info about the CD later. And I'm also, if you can't get enough of me, I'm doing another gig October 30th at Brownstone Poets, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 o'clock EST. And okay, so this last one I'm gonna do was a result of me taking George Lucas and Peter Gabriel and forcing them into a bush and letting them do unspeakable things. And the result was this. May 25th, 77, when the Star Wars movie come, it was business as usual for galactic bounty scum. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Give him money, or Han is dead, or Han is dead. When he hit Mos Eisley to collect all Jabba's pay, Solo fried him with one blast and buggered off to the docking bay. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Payback Jabba, or Han is dead, or Han is dead. You can shoot down a smuggler, but you can't shoot down the Force. Not that Greedo had a chance, Solo creamed his ass, of course. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Oh, Greedo, Greedo, Greedos, Greedo. Konachuta, now Greedo's dead, now Greedo's dead. And the eyes of the world saw Han shoot first. Han shot first. Greedo. thanks again for coming and listening. I'll put that info I mentioned in the chat as soon as I get a moment.
Woo, thank you. Unmute yourself, and a big round of applause for Jeff. Entertained us so wonderfully there. And it's a good CD, but
We can't hear Finn. We can't hear you, Finn.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
What happened there? Okay, I'm saying I'll go that all again. And thank you very much, Jeff. I'll start as if he's just finished. Finish again, Jeff. And thank you, Jeff, for coming on. Unmute yourselves and give him a big round of applause there. Wonderful from and the CD.
Yay, Jeff.
Hilarious.
And the CD is very good indeed. CD is very good indeed.
Brilliant. You pulled no punches in that Canadian poem.
Yeah. Hard hitting stuff there. Right, we're going to take a 5-minute break now, so you can do what you want. I need to go and make a cup of tea. And we're going to come back with Brian, Martin, Ian, and Vicky in that order. I'll put the running order up during the break. Thank you.
Yo, D, powerful stuff.
Hey, thank you, Henry.
Yes. Yeah, just, I don't have words, and that's a good thing. I mean, it literally, it said what needed to be said.
Yeah. I second that, Henry. Yeah, great stuff, G.
I always forget we can share stuff on the screen, and you know, I said the poem I did came with art. I should have shown my daughter's art at the time.
Oh, you should have.
Maybe you can share the screen now in the 5 minutes.
Well, if that would, yeah. If that
I'd love to see them.
Yeah.
I was so happy to hear the whole thing, Kate.
Yeah, it was really powerful stuff, Kate.
Really. Ooh,
Wow.
That is mind-blowingly wonderful. Oh, geez, that's intense.
It's a bit, yeah, I know. She did her main art piece for a final GCSE.
Wow.
Good. She
That's
got
good.
grades, yeah. And
Let me ask you, is that mixed media, or is that like a graphite on paper, or mixed media?
yeah, so what she did was she presented it on a tablecloth background, but the image was pencil work, really, all of that.
Wow.
Wow, she's really good.
I'm looking at the detail just on the cutlery, you know, right along the edges of the fork and the knife. That detail on that is just amazing.
She is really talented. That is amazing. Wow.
I mean, she's got better since then. She does like commissions for people, but she didn't get to go to university with the lockdowns in the UK. She ended up her eating disorder came back for a bit, and I had to bring her home. That was a year ago, but she's better now, and I think she'll probably go back to university in a year's time, and she'll do art. And then she named this one Guilty Witness.
Wow.
Wow,
that's the second one that she did, and then there's another poem there from me. So yeah, I wanted to show you her first published artwork. She is so happy, I can't tell you.
Wonderful.
See, leave it on this one for just a moment, because one of the things I'm picking up on here in the top right and the lower right corner, there is text which is sort of partially scribbled out. It's like an erasure in a way.
Exactly, but if you can see, it's got the word I down here as well. I mean, she's so detail conscious, so she's It's interesting text
Yeah,
behind.
she has the letter I, and then she has the Egyptian eye. What
Yeah.
looks like an Egyptian eye.
And she said to me, because the eating disorder is something that makes you feel guilty all the time, but you can't speak about it. She called this guilty witness.
Yeah.
Oh.
She does speak about it now, and she's absolutely happy to. So I think that's one of the
really
things
good.
we need to do with eating disorders is kind of not make it so taboo a subject.
Right.
I did an arts project with teenagers with eating disorders, and yeah, it was really interesting.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, it was different than I expected.
Right.
I think
It's very impressive work.
it's really good.
Take care.
And to be able to express it, too, it sort of gets it out of the realm of the interior realm, outside of the body, and onto the paper or canvas or whatever. That's just so healing and healthy. Wonderful. And it's great to look at too. It's amazing.
She's got an Instagram. If anyone's interested in going, she hasn't got much on there, but she's her Art in the Rain.
Art in the Rain. Okay.
I see she works in acrylic and oil as well. So she does work in mixed media.
She does. Sorry, Henry, I'm not an artist. So, and she also applies it to furniture and all sorts of stuff. She just is creative in very tangible art forms. I just use words.
Yeah, it says there, and also detailed pencil work. Yeah, but she's working in these and mixing these different mediums together. That's wonderful. That's really cool.
Thank you for letting me share that.
Oh, it's great to see it. And hearing you the other night, and
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. It was a those who weren't there, I crashed out the time limit on the the slam, so no one got to the end of my poem. So it was a bit of a learning for me. And those I did say my daughter actually had dialed in to listen, and I was a little bit overwhelmed with that, if I'm honest. And I probably slowed down, so that's what happened. A lot of learning in that for me. Don't enter a slam with a poem that could go over the time limit and invite your daughter along to listen to it.
Well, all is well that ends well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was lovely, weren't they, Leslie? It was an amazing night, actually. I think Ian was there. Oh, Ian was the judge.
Yes, indeed he was.
Yeah, I was one of the judges. It's the first time I ever judged something as well. Like Clyde messaged me, what are the rules and so on, and how does it work? I mean, it was awesome though. Everybody, was really good, and I'm not just saying that just to, placate everyone, but I mean, I loved it, and yeah, I'm gonna throw myself in at some point. You just don't know how it goes. I think it can just vary, can't it? I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what Clyde said.
Be honest, Ian, were you exhausted afterwards? Because when I judged, you have to listen so intently and everything. I was.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 45 minutes, I'm like, all this, I rush back home to get back in time, and then relax for 5 minutes and so on. And for the first 45 minutes, I'm really, really focused. And then, I had to kind of be a little bit more self-aware, because I think sometimes you can trail off without realizing it. And so it was just like, flatmates, leave me alone, everyone, just sitting there with my laptop, don't disturb me. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome though. It really, really was good. Both of you, you were fab. Really fab.
I didn't realize, Leslie, you said it was your first time slamming as well. You were so calm.
Yeah, it was my first time. No, I'm pretty calm about it. I learned to read. I started doing open mics in Mexico at Bar Dampato in downtown Sayulita in I think 2008, And yeah, I mean, poets had to read really early because it was a bar, and you just didn't want to have a beer bottle come flying by your head. So
No way.
you had to really concentrate. It was such good training because you know, and I would print everything real big and bold-faced things, and you know, just so I could read it no matter what happened. I would make this script that was just so readable if the light was bad or whatever, no matter, you know, what went on, because things would go on. And it was such good training to just, like, you know, to quite, you know, to make me not nervous, because the show had to go on.
I overran Kate when I did an OB Hive Slam, so it's easily done.
Oh, did you, Gerald? Oh, good.
Yeah, I did the other one. Well,
Oh, no.
the frustrating one, I lost by 1 point on the final on the one 2 or 3 months back.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, which like yeah, but it was great to do. It's great to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, and they do a real good job. Like Nick and Clive are a real good team. Also, I had picked a couple of poems that I kept timing in them, and I was like, because I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was just, so I picked ones that were way under the 3-minute mark, because you know, like sometimes when I'm reading, you know, I sort of lose my place, and yeah, so. Yeah, there was one I really wanted to read, but it was like right at the wire, and I just, you know, didn't want to stress myself out too much.
Well, just to plug, if you November the 28th, if you're over in Shropshire, I'm reading at the Shrewsbury Festival. That's because I did the slam there, so that was the prize. So yeah, it's great fun slamming, isn't it?
I don't know that I'd say it's great fun. I stress myself out every time.
Good. You have to stress.
Well,
Don't stress, you don't do it well.
Well, this is true. Yeah. And I suppose it's a bit addictive, isn't it, Gerald? You come off it and you go, well, I'm never going to do that again. And then the next day I go, oh, actually, I really enjoyed that.
Well, the first time I did it, and I read a poem called Scar, which people generally have liked, and I got a very poor score. I don't know why. I you know, it just, and I mentioned it to a guy in Walsall, and he said, I love that poem. But so, you know, it's a bit of a thing, but you
never know.
You just have to yeah. So that's, I thought, oh, I'm never going to do it again, because it's a bit, but yeah, it is addictive. You're right.
It is.
I'm sure you were one for, I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah.
And Kathy, because she hadn't slammed before, has she?
That was her first slam.
I couldn't believe that was her first. Wow, she really, you know, Kate, I was listening to you and watching you, and I didn't see the stress on you. I saw that you seemed really calm to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. I didn't see any. I mean,
I didn't either.
I've looked at one of these slams to judge him, but I didn't see any nerves or
No,
any.
I didn't either. You sounded good. You looked great. It's just that you went over. That's all. So just, you know, Ian and I are saying you didn't seem stressed. You seemed pretty calm to us too.
But Kathy, I mean, it's like, you know, she's so good, isn't she?
She's so good. She's
the thing about Kathy is she's been suffering from a lack of confidence recently, and to be thrown into a slam like that, you know, and to win it is just, you know, I was really annoyed, you know, that I had to work, and I've watched it since, like, but it was, and to win it with my favorite poem, when she did Capitals, that's the one that I did when she did my poem, which was really great. Like, that's my trouble. I don't fully well, who does? Who fully understands?
Which poem did Kathy do?
Capitals.
What is that? What was the subject matter of that? I mean,
that's hold on.
It's about the love I think she has for a partner, and how it's capital in the sky.
Okay. I have it here. Hold on.
On lights.
Also, you know, her face, she looked a little bit nervous, especially when she finished. She looked a little nervous when she
This is what I will.
sailed through, but right at the end, she, you know, she showed like she was a little bit stressed.
I have it. I have it here. So I'm going before we start the second half, I'm going to read Kathy's winning poem for you all because I love this one. I can't do it as well as she does, like, but I am sorry. In capitals, in neon lights, in airplanes that write the letters in the sky. I am sorry for the armor I wore in the beginning. You see, it kept me safe in a home full of hurt. But for you, it made me unreachable. For every kindness I weaponized, hurled back at you, because when I tried to hold them, they turned to glass in my hand. For every argument I orchestrated, calculated, manipulated, engineered, because I was unraveling. And I just needed to feel in control of something. For the pushback, pull away, in, out, off, on, chaos, confusion I caused in your mind, trying to find what would make you snap, because I needed to know what that looked like. For the shame I made you feel when you showed me, for behaving in ways that were as unlovable as I felt, just so I could feel like my outsides matched my insides. Forever bringing you to a place of pain, just so I wouldn't feel so alone in mine. For not understanding back then, all that anger came from needs never met. Or that all I ever had to do with you was ask. I am thankful that you're always open, for the 22-year-old you who kissed me on the forehead, held me in the war I was waging, was nothing to do with you, but that you loved me and would ring me in the morning. You were right. For patience, persistence, kindness, compassion, never earned, but given without condition. For the times you hold me so tight, all my broken parts fused back together. For the times I almost walked away, but I stayed, because that tug towards you was more powerful than I could ever be. For the way you dragged me kicking and screaming for the water, from the water. You see, I thought I was swimming, but you could see I was drowning. For that place just below your collarbone, where if I pressed my ear, I can hear the thump of your heart. Slow my breath so that my thump synchronize with yours. And something about that will always, always still me. I am thankful in capitals, in neon lights and airplanes that write the letters in the sky. I am thankful.
Wow.
There you go. That's Kathy's winning poem.
Good reading, Finn. Oh my goodness. Oh, powerful stuff.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
So open and honest and just raw. It just bravo. I mean, that takes a lot. I can't do it.
Yeah,
yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, Leslie.
Oh, maybe.
I think it's a testament to the universality of her writing. Although it's a very personal story, it can be read by Finn or by Leslie or by almost anyone in this room, and it then becomes their story. Well, I think that's almost, you know, when Kathy reads her poems, you feel like no one else could read them, but that's not necessarily true. So for some of them, yes, but some of them anyone can.
Yeah, good point.
Read them, and I think that's a great sign of how great a writer she is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Well, I need to get my breath back now. That one gets to me, even though it's not mine. Thank you. All right, we're going to carry on with the second half. We have quite a shorter second half than normal, unless a drove of people turn up, but without it. So, Brian, Generalissimo, take it away, sir.
Okay. I have a brand new poem that I wrote. It's called Garlands, Lace, and Bouquets. It's about this woman in California who I've known since 2014, who's a wonderful poet. And so it's called Garlands, Lace, and Bouquets. There's a woman who always wears flowers in her hair. Her voice lives in currents of rivers and streams and in the salty sea where octopi hide and jellyfish sparkle. Her words are born of the sun that lights our way over lands and nurtures trees and plant life with. When her voice and words merge into poetry, something elemental happens, something chemical happens, something esoteric happens. She mixes a story of nature, history, romance, earth, water, air, and fire. Those privileged to be exposed to her verse discover newly created alloys of humanity, emotion, and spirit in both Spanish and English. There is a woman who always wears flowers in her hair. People say that when she walks through gardens at dawn, bluebirds and robins bring her a selection of flora for the coming day. The next poem is called Hiding Place. It has been too many years since we last saw each other. We were still in love and life threw multiple wrenches at us. All we could do was duck and cover and run or risk permanent injury. There was too much that was beyond our control. We knew we'd never be the same again. After we ended, there were times I wished my love for you had been unrequited. Just under 3 years later, you introduced me to him. He insisted I come to the wedding. He even sat me next to his redheaded friend at the singles table as an obvious setup. But the wedding was the last time we saw each other. I was genuinely happy for both of you after your child was born, but I mourned our potential child we used to talk about all those years ago. You wanted a boy named Sylvester just so we could call him Sly. I wanted a girl named Mazzy, named after my grandmother. You said you'd think about it. You had a way of humoring me as if your veiled validation were hugs made of homemade marshmallows and hot chocolate. Once when I was in town visiting my mom, your mom called and took me to lunch. She said she always wished that we had made it through the troubles. She proceeded to show me photos of her grandchild and told me how amazing your life was. Your husband called to invite me to the funeral. He said that you valued our friendship and wished we hadn't fallen out of touch. My heart aches that I wasn't able to be there for him or your mom or to say goodbye. You will always be the one that got away, but stayed hidden deep in my heart until the end. And one more small piece. Why I Googled whether crocodiles cry. It feels inevitable I will cry. I can feel these tears forming in my stomach. I think their salinity level is low. They feel more like a backward sigh rising through my esophagus than labored breaths of an anxiety attacks trying to win a yodeling contest. Maybe this crying jag will last less than a minute. Maybe there will only be a few boiling hot tears inching down my cheeks. Maybe they will exit only from one eye. Maybe I will feel them at the edge of an eyelid, deciding to go on emotional strike, leaving the whites of my eyes burning and bloodshot with no salty discharge, as if I were a depressed crocodile. Thank you.
That was a beautiful set.
Yeah, it was indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Beautiful.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on now to another debut. Surprise and popping up tonight. And always a pleasure to welcome new faces. Always a pleasure to hear from Martin.
Hey, thanks, Finn. Yeah, wonderful poetry tonight. I'm pardon me while I go off camera so I can see my poems on my phone here. This is first one's an elegy for a friend of mine I used to babysit for. And I found out today is the 7th anniversary. And so I had to call his mother and share this poem with her for the first time. So hoping to make it through this. This is called The Search for the Inner Warrior's Freedom. I now recall a speeding van. I rode in down a country road to sit with you when you were a boy, you handling the shift while your mother drove. I fell asleep that very first time. Your parents had to shake me awake. So would I be allowed to return? They pondered on the path to take. Invited back, I heard your tales of hearing from Billy Joel sounds that suggest that pressure had strains of mazurka tunes you learned at a Polish wedding fest. We talk about your projects for hours, ignore the outer descent of the gloom. The sound of gravel underneath tires would send you running up to your room. I later remember talks more serene, reclaiming your life from sour travail, sharing thoughts on how to proceed, hiking in both directions the trail. You'd enter via the Eagle Mount, yearning to walk in the open air, seeking to free the warrior within, meeting an older woman there. You found your way around the world by building landscapes and buying land on verdant slopes of the 5-0 state and cooking for friends on New Mexican sand. At last you seemed to settle down, your mother ever proud of your life, renting a home in our hometown, but landlord woes would lead to strife. Along with your son who shared his name, you then lived above your father's store, where he would sell the finest tomes that readers renowned had owned before. You fell into a sleep for a week. A series of shocks had shaken your heart, then opened your eyes one final time. Before this plane you did depart. I'm sad but glad to drive the miles, to witness the piper at the gates, and stand in line by the ancient oak that over the centuries silently waits. Our age-old Quaker meeting room, a normally placid sacred place, could not contain the multitudes that spilled into the adjacent space. From bikers with tattoos straight from the hood to mothers of sons who felt understood, all gathered there to wish you the best on the following phase of your restless quest. And this is in loving memory of Marcus Macaluso, whose name can be translated as warrior freed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was astonishingly brilliant. Thank you, Mark. That was really good. Thank you. Glad you joined us. Thank you, sir. All right, Ian. The Zoom's all yours, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've got two tonight, one new and one not so new. The first one, it's called Fast Food Information. It really puts down my sort of contentiousness for, you know, politicians being a little bit more reliant on social media nowadays, and the whole, you know, people running around clicking their phones, you know, liking and sharing, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, here it goes. Hello, Mr. Politician. Calm my insecurity with your digital purity. Placate me with morals, for you understand me. For your personalised sound bites consume me. I press the digital button swiftly, insatiable for information, I need it quickly. As I balance my coffee, then run for the number 3. Weaving through suits, faces, jackets and briefcases, I desperately take the last seat ready for more. Punching my body as my thumb scrolls hungrily, it caresses a digital display efficiently. It craves digital crack, custom made just for me, cooked by scratch heads and suits at your laboratory. So deliver it through me by circuits, demographically. But don't worry about journalistic scrutiny. I'm clever, no one can manipulate me. I trust your slick algorithm with my opinion. Your seductive reporting shines its smile at me through my little digital display discreetly. I found another piece with a slogan. My retina consumed it again hungrily. It resonated with me. I like, share and agree. That's my fifth today. So that's the first one. The second one is about the changing seasons. I did it not long ago with Gary and a few of you guys here. So it's about the end of the summer and it's called Our Quiet Call. Hang on, one sec. Shadows slide across town, they are graceful yet calm, trailing the solstice with whispering goodbyes. The sun's blaze fades softly with quiet clarity. Its gentle smile greets our equator calmly, with the silent call of a soft lullaby, leaving the summer with a yawning goodbye, yet carrying life within its gentle stream, as its restful flow breathes rebirth, as flowers filled with light return to the earth, as ospreys seek warmth from the African beach, as hedgehogs seek shelter deep from winter's reach, guided by the fading light with much to do to survive, as people rush lost in the city's consumerism, just hopeful again for a good festive season. That's it for tonight. Thank you. Sorry about that. I think my flatmate there was banging on the door. I'm like, hang on.
All right. Cheers. Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was great. Okay, next up, welcome back, Vicky Allen. Vicky.
Hi, it's lovely to be back again. I have a couple of poems that are connected to a little folk tale. I don't know, does everyone know who Saint Mungo is, the patron saint of Glasgow? You can like give me a nod or a baffled shake of the head. It's cool. Some of you do, some of you don't. So Saint Mungo is like a really important figure in Scottish history. But I became really fascinated with some of the untold stories around his mother, who is known variously as Thenyu or Thani, or in Glasgow, you'll find places called St Enoch, which is another version of her name. Thenyu's story is really fascinating and really heartbreaking. It actually chimes with lots of other stories of female saints from around the kind of 5th to 6th century in Scotland. Yeah, so I think this connected with me because actually it happened just like about 8 miles up the road from where I live just now in Eden. Thenyu's father was King Loth, who the Lothians in Scotland were eventually named after. And King Loth was the head of the Gododin tribe, a pagan tribe in Scotland, and they had their castle at the top of Traprainlaw, which is a hill which I can see from my house. It's very distinctively shaped and kind of scary looking in some ways, actually. Not massive, it's just odd. But anyway, King Loth picked out a husband for his daughter, and she wasn't really having any of it. I'm not sure what was up with the guy that her dad had chosen, or if she was just really independently minded, but she said no to her father. King Loth was obviously not used to having the word no uttered to him, least of all by his daughter. So he sent her off into exile to like a group of swineherders who lived at the bottom of Traprainlaw, thinking that this kind of decline in her circumstances would bring her to her senses, but actually she discovered that they were a really beautiful group of people. However, in the meantime, the man that she had been commanded effectively by her father to marry, was kind of miffed. He took offense. And so he basically, without the knowledge of King Loth, hunted her down and assaulted her, sexually assaulted her, and she became pregnant. Her dad, Loth, didn't know any of this. But he did find out that she was now living amongst these villagers and was pregnant. So this was offence upon offence. So she was brought before her father at the top of Traprain law and sentenced to death by her dad and thrown from the top of Traprain law. However, she survived. A miracle occurred. I am so cutting so many parts out of this story, but she survived this awful attempt at her execution, and it is completely miraculous that she survived. If you've ever been there, it's just not the kind of thing that you could survive. It's worth looking the story up. There's various versions of it, but in this one, so she survived the fall, hundreds of feet, and was brought once again before her father, who decided to try again and sentenced her to death for the second time. And this time she was taken to the shores of the Firth of Forth, the great estuary river, which comes in from the North Sea near Edinburgh, modern day Edinburgh. And she was taken to the edge of the Firth of Forth and placed in a coracle, which is like a little round boat. And she was bound and just cast out to sea with no hope of surviving this. She was just set adrift. So I wrote a series of poems around this, but these two are kind of conversations between Then Yu and her unborn child, and then later the creation that she finds herself in. Sorry, that was a long preamble to two poems, but it's an amazing story. So this is Yu speaks to her unborn son. And if you can imagine yourself cut adrift at sea, not knowing what is going to happen next, but knowing in all likelihood that this is the end of everything for you. This is me imagining the conversation that she might have had. Then Yu speaks to her unborn son. If this is our last night, then we shall be cradled by the surging sea. The stars, the moon sing silence over us tonight. If this is our last night, then we shall let this wind scour us, be known by it entirely, have no fear of its chill breath tonight. If this is our last night, then we shall welcome seal and bird and fish. They keep company with us, and this wild earth is not a friendless place tonight. If this is our last night, we shall be creation's embrace. You shall be held in my womb, your only home tonight. If this is our last night, let wind and wave, the stars, the moon, write on our hearts that love does not abandon us tonight. And according to the old stories, the birds and the seals and the fish did in fact keep Then Yu company that night. And as the sea caused the tiny coracle to rise and fall on the waves, we're told that nature came to offer her solace on her lonely journey. And so the next poem that I'll read you, the last poem, is imagining how she was viewed by the world that she was in. The moon speaks to the waves. Be calm tonight. Let us conspire with our Maker to bring balm, peace. Be still tonight. Let us bear our traveler to a safer shore. Be quiet tonight. Let us invite the wild ones of the sea to tame her wounded soul. Be kind tonight. Let us be a love lullaby to her dear unborn one. Be calm tonight. Let us conspire with our Maker to carry her home. And I'll tell you the end of the story without reading you any more poems. She fell asleep in the coracle, not knowing that she would ever wake again. But in fact, once again, she was saved by some miracle, landed on the far side of the Firth of Forth, and was found by some shepherds, because all good stories have shepherds in them. And they brought help for her, and she gave birth to her son, who was looked after by the local holy person who was called Saint Surf. And he raised her son, who went on to become Saint Mungo, the patron saint of Glasgow, who basically changed the course of history in lots of ways.
Thank you. Beautifully read, beautiful poems, and more history. We're getting educated tonight, aren't we, folks? Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Clive's in the house.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, moving on again once more. Thank you, Vicky. It was always wonderful to hear from you. Welcome back, Mark. Unmute yourself, sir.
There I am. Thank you very much. Hello, bonjour, bonsoir, comme ça. And I read today. I'm not ordinarily a political poet, but I am this book is being published in November. It's available now on Amazon. So I'll do what poets do, which is kind of read a little bit from their upcoming book. So that's just, you see the title. This was written over 4 years. It's like a historical poetic document, just capturing the time in about 50 poems throughout that. I'll read 3 or 4 of them. This first one is from August 2019. Cape May afternoon. There was a time, I remember, a resort town like this, in soft August breezes. There were few who were black or Asian. I was white and privileged too, but never thought of it as such. I was a boy, and my hair was blonde as straw. Was that when America was great? Today on the ferry, I saw a group from India, the women in bright silk saris made brighter by their pastel brown complexions, the men with Sikh beards and tailored tunics. They sat alone in excluded silence. They were passed by my fellow citizens in loose jeans, t-shirts covering their round bellies, families and friends, sporting MAGA hats. Waiting was the village center, the marina, and the fanfare of souvenir shops. The smell of chocolate fudge seeming to come from the ocean. An orchestra played Leroy Anderson under the bandshell draped in bow tie flags. The kids in the psychedelic game arcades shouted with crashing cars and pop guns. It was the America we all expected, the architecture of coastal New England, a mix of Southern and Victorian facades, airplanes skywriting, hard rock cafe, cotton candy, family tandem bicycle rides. So many wore the red hat like a badge. All knew the message of outrage they sent. Everything felt wrong, joyless, and sad. They say Trumpius speaks for them, the voice against the progress of greed, the social engineers, the atheists, populations of oily-haired immigrants who suffer with English, their children flooding schools with eager expectations, the victims of globalization, fake news, their neighborhoods open to all. The parade of faces thirst for sameness. Can we ever love each other again? Damn the past, the Civil War, slavery, racism from the Mayflower and conquistadors, the prejudice against my people and yours. We all were once from a land of sorrows. Our generation struggled for equalities. But we are here now in this summer waltz. What does history have to do with us? Can't we just be families and friends and love that we, as a nation, Are they ideal? We strolled past lawns with full hydrangeas, in lilacs, blues, pinks, and whites. Among us too, so many colors and tongues. I am not young anymore, nor is my country, but I remember the welcoming smiles in a day like today before the reign of hate. The red hats speak of cold revenge, where sadness rules the streets of change. Thank you. This is one written in 2 years later, many months before the impeachment. And if you hadn't noticed, Trumpius would wear these long, solid ties, you know. And so this is a poem about that. Grounds to impeach. My father taught me to tie a tie, as a gentleman will be defined like a lady by her hat or scarf. He was born poor to immigrant stock, but in his prime, he'd buy these objets d'art from the best silk printers in Italy, with exquisite colors and design. In a crowd, he sparkled like vintage wine. Most important is the placement, he'd insist. In the center of the belt, the tip must fall, so when you sit, the fabric doesn't twist, and standing, it doesn't cover your balls. Retying the knot over and over for the perfect spot. Now Trumpius wears cheap-looking solids way below the crotch. It's squalid. When he sits, it hangs like a frock, and when he stands, it wags like a monkey's cock. It's an embarrassment everywhere to anyone with fashion flair. Forget the 10,000 lies, the affair so crude, that nagging voice from the ego platitude. Impeach the son of a bitch goodbye, who can't even learn to wear a tie. And I'll end with this one, which was I'll do part of this, which is part of the inauguration of Trumpius No More. America was sucking oxygen as the COVID kills. You were selling pardons at the windowsill. Next to Nefertiti, how your neck and shoulders slump. Walk the plank to Air Force One and be gone, Citizen Trump. Foiled again, I can hear in your behemoth rage offering us a fingered salute en route to an alligator cage. Ahead are years of satire, America's buffoon, your name scratched from the obelisks in ruins, never to be Maximus, a mere name with no suits, the folly of a pussy grabber, a mafioso, a brute. You had your Waterloo. Tweet no more, fly away, exile to the swamps until called before the jury for every time you jaywalked or extorted to a judge, for every conniving lie so uncouth and outrageous. Humpty Trumpty fell from his wall, Humpty Trumpty fell bigly. Thy heart is cruel, thy words empty, now splattered and spitting like a snake, sounding no different asleep than awake. And all the Proud Boys and all Hannity's men can't put you back together again. Well, that's 3 from that.
Spot on with them all. Great stuff. I just wonder in a couple of 100 years, people are going to be looking back at characters, the cartoon characters, because that's what they are, Trump and Boris, and think, what the fuck is it with humans back then that allowed these people to get into that position, you know? Crazy.
Great stuff.
Yeah, cheers, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so carry on now. Lantern Carrier.
Okay. Justice is the most important objective of state and society and the basis of orderly human living. It is a legal right scrolled into declarations and amendments to ensure the regulation of selfish actions, fairness, and equal treatment for all. We are not born slaves, but sparks of the eternal, trying to love like everyone else amidst challenges and the pendulums of life. Discrimination and exclusion have created ghettos of segregation, leading to massive poverty, alienation, and anomalies in the quality of life, to fear, loneliness, and insecurity, where ultimately no one benefits and instead create volumes of uprising and unrest. We are like lost birds trying to fly in the darkness of clouds, devised by callous humans whose only interests lie in the vanity of greed and deceit. Yet although they are undoubtedly heinous and brutal, the chairs we blared of long ago paved the way for much of our improved todays and promising tomorrows. The fruits of our labor, the conscientious call to action, has taken us out from the dark corridors of yesterday to celebrate our achievements today. Yet it was a rugged road to travel, and there's still a very long way to go before equity and tolerance can prevail. Friends, colleagues, all who dwell in the country of majesty, diversity is necessary to creation, and like a bevy of birds soaring to the firmament, inclusion is not a burden, but additional wings for mutual cooperation. In a garden of flowers, there are numerous differences, yet roses, lavenders, orchids, tulips, and mauve all sing in harmony. The violin in an orchestra never says it's superior to the flute. Instead, they blend together as mellifluous and enchanting symphonies. Perhaps it's time for a transformational change in the Union of Great Britain, a celebration of race and culture, of economic fairness in healthcare systems, of honoring the diligence and dignity of work with decent wages and equal status in promotions. Let us celebrate the diversity in art, music, electronics, and technology, invest in education for our children's futures. Let us pay homage to the NHS, to our departed, and while at it, let us recognize that Mary Seacole contributed just as much as the Lady of the Lamp. Marcus Rashford, Lewis Hamilton, Amanda Gorman, and Cornel Parker teaches us that it is each individual, each collective effort that makes us stronger, and together we'll excel in construction, sports and recreation, politics and science, as well as electronics and technology. When inequality and disproportionate privilege in the workforce is discouraged, and opportunity increases, when individuals are motivated, they will always endeavor to produce a better transport system, have less domestic strife, leading to a healthier and more prosperous nation. For this, strong and visionary leadership is necessary. One should be firm on immigration, yes, but recognize the rights of refugees to a decent standard of excellence. We should address the environment and climate issues, show a commitment to resolving the fuel crisis, as well as a recognition of the trauma of homelessness, not to mention the persecution of the LGBTQIA community and their rights. Let us continue together to make Britain great and unique, creating a new generation of heroes with respect for our elderly, make foreigners proud to invest here, work on the roots of depression or the mental health issues and domestic violence so that we all rise as one people. Let our past wander away like strong currents with dead logs, shedding the baggage and sediments into the ocean of refuge. Let us thrill to bewitching words of the recognition of our worth, of our interconnectedness, our coming together as one nation in the interest of prosperity on all fronts for all. This way we can sit with our children and grandchildren or tomorrow's future, watching the clouds burst as the sky peeps through, our hearts rejoicing with the light of the rising sun. Lantern Carrier, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow, that was, yeah, words fail me. Glad they don't fail you, my friend.
Not in this lifetime. Inshallah, inshallah. By His grace.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Once more, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on to Gerald.
I'm going to squeeze 3 in. A meeting in Roots Hall. I remember as a student knocking on hall doors to tell people about Jesus. And there was this girl came to the door in a towel, flushed because they were having sex. And I was stupid and embarrassed as she sent me away. I wonder what happened to that moment, where it now sits, or if it sits anywhere at all. If there is a relationship, or a child, or a divorce with small acrimonies, maybe just a stain, forgotten, as was the naive supplicant holding a Bible at the door as if it contained love.
Wow.
And for those who missed the news this week, this is called a Martian lament. When we inherited the planet, it was littered with small arms and minefields. We found all kinds of armored vehicles, from jeeps to tanks to lorries for tanks. So many helicopters and warplanes, some on airfields, some sold off to both allies and adversaries. We found long-range missiles and short-range missiles, anti-tank missiles, missiles made by children to throw at tanks and pickups, and women who queued for bread in the wrong place. At the wrong time, we found fighters so pumped up they killed babies and still called it battle. We have inherited this planet. We informed them, you should stop this carnage. But even as we said it, they asked what our price was and how many guns we would need to achieve our goal. A Martian laments the invasion, after H.G. Wells, of course. And I'm going to finish with the one that failed in the slam for the benefit of Leslie and Kate, to give you some hope, I hope. This is called scar tissue. And you can see it there. Think my scar. On my right hand, I have a scar which I forget from time to time. I call it the snake because if you cross my palm with silver, it hisses, and you should not stare too long. It was in Linton that I ran towards the ice cream of original sin, tripped over the milk bottle of God's command, lost my innocence to a hospital visit when I was 4. I was under fire before we crossed to Ulster, and the troubles all kicked off before my grandmother's shortbread and my first encounter with a tank. In Linton, I have one recollection, a bowl, those old thin plastic types where the colour drains into scratch marks. My blood, as I recall, not red like a bus, but scarlet like Judith's. According to my wife, a tale I've never heard, my father took me to the hospital without my mother knowing. So she turned up at the corner shop, keyless and clueless, while I was stitched in a shadowy waiting room. No ice creams were ever obtained. It was a lot like that on holidays on British Beach in the Dublin Pale, a thorn, an inch perhaps, lodged in my soul. Up in Newcastle, my father made me put my foot up, pushed the flesh in until he could wrench the bugger out. And how I screamed. You'd have screamed too, like you'd been waiting for your saviour. For I was almost redeemed by then. People had been asking if I'd come to the Lord. It's good to please, so I stood up and testified, and they prayed for me, and everyone was happy, and I was hardly troubled, hardly a fraud, hardly believing in the lie that was my virtue. Now, when God and serpent both seem unimportant, I turn to that scar, 50 years old and more. I no longer faint at blood, no longer faint at needles or sharp knives. Yet when I say a word awry, it's like that first falling over, like my reflection in a bucket of blood. No stigmata you see this scar, but a snake healed over, cold remnant to be marveled at during my post-mortem. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, that craft. Wow, thank you. Imagine losing a slam with that, really. What were the judges thinking?
I know.
Thank you.
Not a terrible score.
I never understood slams anyway. Never understood slams. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Moving on now, we're getting down there. And thankfully, no offense to him, because he's a lovely man, but thankfully Bruce hasn't turned up to carry his on till back at 11. So please welcome back, Mandy.
Hi. This poem is about my son moving into halls, which he did a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to read University Challenge. So moving to university, ready for the next stage. Manchester reading history. My next chapter, a new page. So proud of him. He has made this happen, got good results, can follow his passion. Going shopping just for me, deciding what to have for tea. Has he got the right kit? It's okay, it's not far, is it? Moving into halls, numbered locked door, utilitarian brick walls, kitchen on another floor. Room's a bit small. Fire extinguisher in the hall. We've sent him off with a full shop. Most stocked up student in the block. Rookie mistake. Locked my keys in my room, for fuck's sake. Have you got your key? Keep them safe on you. I want to hear your news. Please ring me if you need me. People I don't know. Remember to say the right thing. Knocking on to say hello. It's awkward, a little excruciating. It will be okay, they're friendly. It will get easier. Remember to smile. Look open, be sociable. I know you haven't done this for a while. Try to be approachable. Which cupboard does my food go in? Where do I put my pan? How will I cope without my parents? Come on now, be a man. Take up invites and opportunities. Your life starts here. Be part of your new community. Go if asked out for a beer. Where am I going on Monday? I'm unsure, I'm a bit scared. Good job I've still got Sunday. Hope I've done enough to be prepared. That's it. And I'm going to read, oh, thank you. I'm going to read the next one, which is called The Weight of My Expectations. The weight of my expectations weigh heavy on my mind. You could really be something if only you tried. What will it take to be satisfied? We learn first from our mothers, passed on through generations. Can you live up to their expectations? When you do your very best, expectations exceed. Make everything perfect. Then what do you need? Better not to expect something back in return. Only leads to resentment, a hard lesson to learn. The tighter you hold on, cracks will appear. Relationships broken with those you hold dear. Let go of them. Forget about should be or could be. Take gifts as they come. It's true, I believe. The unexpected kind are the best to receive. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That first one sort of half resonates. I remember when I took our son to university for the first time. That was a good long time ago now, and he was always shy and quiet, and we had to force him to stop studying and go out, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Came back home. I was the one that was in tears, and my wife went, "No, he's fine. He's fine." But he managed. He was great. Like it was super.
He's not quite invited anyone out to the pub yet.
No.
I'm still saying to him, please just ask somebody, it'll be all right. Because they all came to say hello to him, but I don't know. Hopefully he'll be all right.
Yeah, they will. They'll settle in, once they get into the routine of things, and he'll be fine. All right, thank you anyway. Thanks for coming back.
Okay.
All right. It's that man again, Mr. Greg Slade.
Hey, everybody. This is actually just part of this, but I'm going to read a few pages of it. It's called Note to Self. To whom it may concern, thanks for hearing me out. The other day and all the other times you did. I know you may say it's no problem, or that I don't have to thank you, or that I already have. The truth is, I have never given thanks like this. Never seen so clearly what my problem even is. How hard it has been to see the problem as it's been presumed, which I couldn't have missed. I talk too much. Yes, I know well, the boo and the hiss. I know my stories are long. I know also the way I insist. The way I turn the volume up, the frequency and the pitch, the emotion in my emotion, the thought behind my thinking, the impulse and the beam, the signal and the noise. Awareness is not where I've been most remiss. Not of these things, at least. I've only been aware of this. I didn't know how painful this is, or then again, maybe I did. Perhaps that's why I've been afraid to speak my mind, to really be honest ever since before I could remember. Trying to tell a story. This is the story of a quiet little kid. Just a little guy with an imagination built too big. Too big for the ears and eyes, much too large for the spleen and the stomach. Not so fast that one couldn't escape, not so persistent so as not to become flummoxed. If there were an award for holding back, no one would nominate me, but I would know I should have been in the running. I thought with interesting facts, unique knowledge, and uncommon cunning, I could tell someone something about the indecipherable humming of the gears in my mind, or the things I found that made those gears grind, trying to make some point that's driving, to whom it may concern. That wasn't me running my mouth. That was me putting myself out, a child not living for the limelight, but who saw speaking as his way of surviving. Learning all the while why we shouldn't, why we don't, and why we can't ever talk like that. Never giving up, knowing even how we are warned that what is spoken can never be taken back. Still, I spoke so much, yet it was not discretion that I lacked. It was earnesty and honesty and desperation. Quite, in fact, I can hear even now a familiar chorus, even still friendly as they laugh. To think that I was ever so earnest and honest as all this, that there was any rhyme or reason to me talking so much out my ass. Even as reasonable and rhyming as I could ever make it, still it seemed impure. Thinking my reason was perfect, I thought it had to be all in the timing. All in the timing, for sure. All truth may lie in jest only if the truth is a joke. A funny guy, I guess I seem at times when the truth is what I'm trying to show. Trying to tell, trying to share, yes, to be seen and heard as well. Oh, the nerve of the outgoing nerd telling people things they don't know. All the time, the nerd thinking, what else would anyone tell? Who wants to hear a thing they already know a second time? Ah, that word know, so very different from heard. I did not seek to be seen. What I didn't then really know was I was seeking not to be heard, but to be known. To whom it may concern, what you've known of me is but the tip of a stone. I've learned not to share too much from fear of finding myself alone. I knew somehow being too true seemed to make for a solitary home. Even home alone, I would not let myself speak too freely. Who would have heard it anyway? What is the point of knowing without sharing, without showing someone else? What is the worth of any way? I guess that's what I need to figure out. To whom it may concern, be not concerned. I've never even considered bowing out. You know this much if you know me at all. It's just that I guess I'm going to stop reaching out. I've had one too many nasty falls. The people I have loved and trusted most have been a little more honest with me lately. Apparently, they can't stand to hear me speak for some need they feel to debate me, some opposition to new information, some resistance to so much thinking in quotations, to such deep driving consternations, to such fundamental equations and essential considerations without which I'd have trouble claiming a name that's not faceless. I am not anonymous, and I'm not calling my audience tasteless. Only sharing again with paper and pen the same story I've been writing for ages, cutting closer to the quick of beauty born within cages, of being wrapped up and trapped up and never tapping out, knowing love or something must be driving such desperate rages, as I have seen responding to me, singing the songs of the nameless sages. Here I go again, aggrandizing these words as if the truth could be put into pages and then be extracted again, as if it could be passed around by speaking it in sections. To whom it may concern, these are not complaints. My lament has passed largely. This is not a protestation. It needn't concern you. This is only my reflections.
Boom. Thank you, sir. Wonderful reading. Good to have
Thank you, guys.
Good to have you back. We missed you. We missed you.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I kind of checked out and went to some deep places, but I came back with some gold, so.
Hey, Jeff, besides your very lovely poetry, how did you get that wonderful background to not have all the usual problems that we have with the video backgrounds where you fade in and out? It kept your form the whole time. Do you have a green screen?
No, it won't let you do it on a computer without a green screen, but on a phone or a tablet, you can just add a picture to your profile. So you could put any picture you wanted. If you go on the computer, you can mess with your profile and add photos. I think you might even be able to do that from your phone, but it won't let me do it on the computer, but I'm doing it through my phone.
Yeah, it's just the color's so lovely. It really framed you so nicely. I was
Yeah, it's
thinking
just
maybe
a photo
because you're,
that I had
you're in
saved of
portrait,
a-
not landscape. I was thinking, what is it that you've done? I guess
Yeah,
so.
it's
Thank
from
you.
doing it on the phone, I suppose, is the trick there. But you can add any photo you want. It's just a photo of some temple.
Oh yeah, I
in
know I've done that,
Persia
but
or
I
something.
find I fade in it. You know, if I move my arm, the whole, the whole thing disappears. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it doesn't work as well on a computer. That's the trick.
You missed the trick there, Greg. You should have said it was your front room. Nobody'd know the difference.
It's my mind palace.
Palace.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Wonderful. We have 3 more to go, and then we are done. So please welcome back, Catherine.
Hi, I don't know how I'm going to follow a performance like that, Greg. That was a good piece, brother. That was really good. But also, like our friend Vicky, I'm going to bring us back to some Scottish history. And I was noticing that, can't help but notice where I live north of Boston. I live a few miles from the city of Salem, which is the location of the terrible witch trials, but has transformed itself into a city that celebrates Halloween beginning around October 1st. So I decided to bring, it gets very crowded for a whole month. I decided to bring a scary story to you. This is called The Headless Phantom and the Chief. Where the mainland ends in Inverness-shire, and the rocks are scattered on the barren sand, lies a road that runs up the border between North and South Morar, where something there is that has terrified all for long and many a year. When the tide is out, a little path leads up to the castle Chirham, which sits on a crag in the loch, and no one who's dared to go past it alone has ever returned alive. The remains of those who have ventured by the castle on the isle have been found upon the cold, stony way by fishermen on their way to Mallaig, mangled and ghastly from unnatural death. How can this be? This is the story of MacDougall the Brave, whose great host was next to the shore, not far from the terror-wrecked boat, by the headless body of Moror. Seers who had the second sight had sighted it years before, as they had leaned across the dark rocky bank that overhangs the shore. It was certain that a phantom or a ghost was haunting the lonely place. A restless, wraith-like body lurked, without a head, without a face. It happened one time, on a cold winter's day, that a visitor came from far away, which delighted old MacDougall. And he wanted companions to come about, to make a great Kelly. He had no one to send but his son and heir, Callum, a youth of 18 years. Didn't take the path that comes back to the house alone after dark, he admonished, but travel fast with companions, or you and your steed will be soon torn apart. Often Bracara, across the river, the neighbors and friends were not home and not found. And young Callum alone, in the fresh breath of youth, felt a longing that night to be home. So down the path he galloped away and straight to the river and border. Not a thing interrupted his thoughts that light o'er, as he turned up the path past the castle. All was quiet on the soft white sand as the steed cantered by on its way. When Callum heard a thundering blast and a clattering in the waves, and charging forth on a sleek black steed and surging at a terrible pace, a restless, ghostly body appeared, without a head, without a face. Not a Scot can recall a more terrible night than the one when MacDougall was told of the terrible plight of his son on the path passing Castle Cheerham of old. MacDougall himself, white as a ghost, swore revenge upon the ungainly host of the river and path that had swallowed so many a traveller near to his home and taken the life of his son. MacCule, as he was known by the clan as their chief, now made a great vow, not to allow a crumb or a drop pass his lips till the life of his son was avenged. And he swore he himself would be the man to make the headless one hang. Remain at home, do not go to the shore, cried the clan, but the chief paid no heed. He gathered his plaid, his kilt, and his dirk, went out to the pasture and mounted his steed. Determined, alone in the gloaming of night, to the haunted rocks did MacCool take flight. And just below the dark hanging cliffs, the headless body appeared. You have come to ransom your son, it said. Take counsel from me and go home. The chief dismounted and took a step. He faced the body chest to chest. In one great bellow and a single bound, he clasped the body, they fell to the ground. But the chief prevailed in skill and in art. He held it fast, he drew his dirk. Hold your hand, MacCule, the phantom cried. Dinna touch me with your iron. I vow to you this night on my soul, whilst one survives to the degree of 20 related to you in Moror, I shall not be seen again. With this, the headless body was gone and has not been seen in Scotland a more. At the time of the telling of this tale, there lived in Fort William a woman, a distant relation to the ancient chief, who lived in a house on a rocky base, where each night there came there a strange black cat, without a head, without a face.
Thank you, thank you. Scotland's getting well covered tonight, isn't it? Yeah, since for a change, I've been the only Scotsman on here, since Kelly's not here and Jamie's not here tonight. So anyway, it's been great. It makes me feel at home. Right, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to Amanda's got up to Clive now. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Right. So apologies to anybody who was at a beehive on Friday because I haven't got anything new tonight. So I'm going to do what I did on Friday. So there's two. They're my two latest pieces of madness. And the first one is you have to imagine I'm an old man, very old man. And what do you mean you don't have to imagine? Sod off. So yeah, this is written in the voice of an old man. I'm old and I'm lame and I'm riddled with pain. It's old Father Time's biggest curse. Can't walk very far, I can't drive a car, and my piles are fit to burst. I don't see my grandkids, and that's quite handy because they're always causing a ruckus. They've got no manners and would drive me bananas, the miserable bunch of fuckers. When I was their age, I was filled with rage as I went to work up a chimney. They don't know they're born, treat the old uns with scorn, and have no respect for family. And yes, I voted Brexit. And they didn't expect it, and now they fight for fuel and food. I fucked up their lives, so I shouldn't be surprised that they are sullen and rude. If they think they'll get cash when I'm turned to ash, they're in for a nasty surprise. With the cost of heating, my fortune's depleting because I fell for Tory lies. I've nothing to spare once I've paid for my care. My house isn't mine anymore. We took back control, but Boris, the arsehole, is a charlatan and a fraud. Sorry, kids. So yeah, that's the first one. So if there's any Boris fans in the house, I'm sorry to insult your hero, but I suspect I'm safe. Right, the next one is a bit different. Well, it is me, so you wouldn't expect it to be conventional, would you really? But I'm a bit ashamed of myself. I try to be nice and polite with anyone except Tory shite, but last week I lost it. Had a hissy fit, went a little bit over the top, had a strop and couldn't stop ranting. I was abusive to my smartphone. Why? Why? It wouldn't connect to the sodding Wi-Fi. I wanted to stream some sci-fi, but I couldn't access the fucking Wi-Fi. As God is my alibi. I tried to stay calm. I meant no harm, but I was so frustrated I could have cried. It kept asking for the code. Please enter the passcode. Please enter the passcode. I didn't know the fucking passcode. And I was getting into angry mode. How the fuck would I know the passcode for the Wi-Fi in the flat below? I threw my phone across the room, swept the bits up with the broom and sorted out my spare. That would do the trick, I thought. But to my despair, there was no access on there, no connection of any sort. So I swallowed my pride, knocked on the door and asked him to confide the code for his fucking Wi-Fi. In retrospect, swearing was unwise. He seemed a little bit surprised, dropped the C-bomb that he so despised and punched me right between the eyes. I went down in a crumpled heap and had a short, unscheduled sleep. At least the hospital ward had Wi-Fi. But I had no phone to watch the fucking sci-fi! Eating meals through a straw, the days in there were such a bore. And the one thing I've learned from this, if you want to use your neighbour's router, break in and steal the fucking computer! Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Clive. Thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy your trip up to York.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Good man. Thank you. It's funny, there's a post I found during the week, I don't know if you saw it, how the Tories got their name. It actually came from an Irish Gaelic word in the mid-16th century, from, I'm pronouncing maybe wrong, Torre, Raidache, which means plunderer, robber, thief, barbarian, and yobo.
Yeah, I did see that actually. It's pretty accurate, isn't it?
It's very accurate, yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to, before we get on to our final reader, I'd like to thank you all once more for coming. And there'll be a Zoom in a week, Tuesday, I think it is. I don't know if any of you remember back to last year when Dane and I started writing a story poem. And we filmed it over a couple of different nights. Well, Dane disappeared from writing it, and the wonderful Rick Spisak has taken over, and we finished the poem. And we're going to be previewing that and reading that on the 12th. Is that right, Kathy? The 12th, yeah. Kathy is involved as well. So the 12th of this month, I'll put the Zoom link up for it later on. Thank you. Okay, moving to final reader of the night. Please welcome back Henry Lohman.
Is my audio okay?
Perfect, sir.
Okay. First piece I'm going to read is called Connections. The delicate fabric of days, intricately woven over time, each knot connecting the whole, of which we are a part to the rhythm of the heart, and a reminder of what was as the hands feel its many textures, how tight the bond, how fragile each thread. Next piece is called Cicada Dawn. The waking hour, blessed by the sun, clouds uttered by the sky, their edges with magenta accents in masterful brushstrokes. I walk along a path once taken but not completed, sipping from a cup at the cusp of a new year. Thoughts reflected in a silent window through which I gaze while listening. Cicadas emerged and emerging into the light, the cycle near completion. Beginning again in the briefest of moments, all that is contained in the eternal golden braid. The breeze speaks to me, as did the wind on the hilltop, as I prepared to bury my father. The clouds parting, the sun resting its gentle hand upon my shoulder, as did the bright blue sky, as my mother took my hand while I drove us down the open road, and I said, I love you. And she held my hand, and hours later, through the open car door, she said, it's cold. Yes, it is, my reply. And as I drive away, now realizing she had taken her last breath. Sitting next to me on the open road under bright blue sky and bright sunshine, painting the canopy of leaves and branches surrounding me, walking mindful steps around a cicada resting on the path, distant cicada voices calling, nearby cicada voices answering. A new generation emerged and emerging, their 17-year sojourn. I breathe in the moment, a bicycle passing, realizing my connection to the ebb and flow of the river, its sun-dappled surface, another page turning. And my third poem is a revision of a poem I presented here, I think a month ago, and a few of you have heard this past week, but there are enough of you here that I think are new listeners. It's called The Last Rose of Summer. It deals with the seasons, and it deals with something deeply personal. Well, deep in my person. I screwed that line up. Let's see if I could do better with this. The last rose of summer, revealing its divine proportion. Another season slipping away into the eternal hourglass as a gentle breeze whispers into my ear. It's time. I do not release its hand, yet realize the futility of this act. For the hourglass will have its way, as there is no stopping the sand. Each grain a moment along the timeline, the pattern of the rose a key to the door. And I remember when the cloud that cursed my eyes removed, I could see the true colors of Monet and Van Gogh, de Kooning and Richter, the luster of my mother's blue eyes. My vision restored, if only for that precious moment before she left me under Monday's chill blue sky. I, now alone, daring not to move, as two doves outside watch me calmly through my bedroom window, then take flight together. And on Sunday morning, a single dove sits outside my bedroom window, our eyes meeting, telling me with that one glance that there is still work to be done. And I open my eyes to today. 10 years, 10 grains of sand in the dimming light of dusk, alone again, resigned to time, having finally acknowledged an acceptance. Endemic having now set in, the needle a temporary fix, the new reality all around me. Awash in uncertainty, weakness, indecision, failure. The blind eye listens, the deaf ear sees. And through my distorted retina, I see myself all too clear. The uprooted tree, the scattered branches, the nakedness bared, the point of no return, the futility of longing and wishing for, senseless thoughts plaguing precious time as I stare off into the distance against the backdrop of dusk's nocturnal sounds. I turn my head to the stagnant creek in the humid air, along the path on which I walk. And in that instant, I am dancing with you under the Milky Way, a glow of energy passing between palms, gently pressed, our bodies spinning, turning, walking on air under the celestial canopy in the open field, stardust bursting forth into an aurora borealis of sinuous movement as our eyes meet, becoming one for that briefest of moments. Seeing something inside myself I never knew. And you were the last rose of summer. My heart pierced by your arrow, but I never told you. Lacking courage to utter my sentiment, to fully express a sentiment mere words cannot convey. Now, a single grain of sand slipping away, falling through the hourglass, becoming one with all the others. Destiny shining her lantern to illumine the purgatory of shadows in which I now find myself. The door now opening to reveal a new day, now steering me on a new course to there, on a new course to there, on a new course to there. But where? You guys want one more? Or have you had enough?
No, one more. Give us one more.
All right. I think it's an appropriate one because it's called coda. That's why I asked. I utter a cloud, nightshade blooming in distant dreams, moments passing, moments past, moments come, moments go. It was never expected to last. A moment grasped in an instant, that moment meant to be. Embraced with every bit of strength and intention, A bittersweet moment, now blossom petals scattered in a soft breeze, fragile as the bare stem remaining. A moment partaken, a gaping hole where joy once resided. Teardrops exploding into vignettes of remembrance, the heartstrings cut, curtains of disappointment drawn, experience having prepared me as my pen is pressed to paper, each letter carefully placed, listening to my inner voice in the stillness of quiet air. Always there to place a hand on my shoulder in my solitude, searching for elusive words, reminding myself to turn off the lights because the music's over. And as I exit stage left, just letting it go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And that's just is a perfect way to finish. It'd be unfair for anyone to try and follow that for the night. And
I hope everybody picked up on the Jim Morrison reference at the end.
Thank you.
Because when the music's over, you gotta turn out the lights, turn out the lights, turn out the lights.
Thank you. It's a musical night tonight. We've had singing and even had a bona fide ex-pop star on with Dig Wayne, who used to be in Joe Boxers all these years ago. So thank you all for coming, and thanks to all our new readers tonight, Nazar from Ukraine, Martin from Washington, and Dig from LA. And we're back again on the first Sunday of November, where Michael Zindler is the feature poet. So that'll be a gas. Coming up after that with December, we've got the Generalissimo, and then Kelly Buchan, and then Henry, and then Gary Huskinson, and then I think Michael. Shoot, I can't remember. I've got it written down somewhere. I haven't got them dates yet.
I have a request for Clive. If he has still has connections with the royal family, if he could bring the Queen when I do the hosting, that would be.
Good night, all diehards, and good day, and good night, all you diehards. Right.
Bye, Mark.
I've been
Bye.
very busy watching over Andrew, but I will do what I can.
See you guys. See you everyone. Always a pleasure. Catch you all soon. All
See
right.
y'all soon. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Night.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
See y'all later. Thanks for doing that, Jeff. See y'all. Bye.
Put my
great
info
job,
in-
Jeff.
Cheers all.